Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network did his annual conference call with the media before the combine, and he had a lot of interesting Jets things to say. We'll talk about it. Boy Green Daily starts now.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
Boy Green, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Let's go!
Put your seatbelts on. Get ready for the ride. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Paul Eston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. This is Boy Green Daily. This is a daily New York Jets video show that's also available wherever you get your podcast. Our entire Daniel Jeremiah conference call, we will play the clip from the conference call from yesterday. And also there's an article in the YouTube description down below that has the transcripts of all the Jets answers, which we'll be getting to here on the show if you'd like to skip ahead. Make sure you guys come in on YouTube and like the video here on the program. Every Friday on the show, we're welcomed by a very special guest. He is one of the best authors I have ever had the pleasure of doing a show with. He's definitely in the top five. And he ain't 5, 4, 3, or 2. He's number one, baby. Beyond Broadway Joe, the Super Bowl team that changed football forever. Let's bring him in. It's Bob Lederer time, baby. What's up, Bob?
Good morning. I challenge you to name the other people you have interviewed who were authors.
Okay, so Ian O'Connor, Gary Myers. Let me see. That's and Bob Lederer. That might be.
So I'm in the top 3.
Yeah, it's pretty good. That's pretty good company, if you ask me.
I'll take that any day of the week.
Okay, there you go.
I'll even add it to my biography.
Oh, please. Yeah, if you can on your next book, just sort of put in, hey, I was in this elite category. I would appreciate that. So,
and for anyone who cares, my bananas are beautiful and yellow this morning, not a brown spot on them.
Well, that's good to hear. They feel very ripe. So let's get right into it here, Mr. Bob Lederer. Again, Daniel Jeremiah of the NFL Network. I can't wait to park my keister in front of the couch, computer, projector, and be absorbing as much Combine content as I possibly can. And Daniel Jeremiah and Rich Eisen do a wonderful job with that. And Daniel Jeremiah, every year before the Combine, does a conference call. And this conference call is normally like 2 or 3 hours. And there are beat reporters from the Chiefs to the Cowboys to the Eagles to people from all over the place asking any question they want about draft stuff or pro personnel stuff, a little bit of both. And Daniel Jeremiah answered a little bit of everything here. We're going to go to this clip. This is from that conference call. Shout out to Antoine Staley of the New York Daily News. He's on this conference call every year. He always gets our Jets content in here. And Daniel Jeremiah explained why he would avoid the quarterback position if he was the Jets in the 2026 NFL draft, why he would explore the trade market, and he gave some names. Let's get into it.
Next question comes from Antoine Staley in New York. Antoine, you may ask your question.
Hey, DJ, I just wanted to get your thoughts about just the unique situation that the Jets are in, having 4 picks in the top 44, and also what they can do about their constant cycle, it seems like, at quarterback.
Oh, man, how long do we have? We got to get the quarterback thing figured out. I don't know what the right answer is this year. I was thinking about them. You're not taking a quarterback at 2 or 16, in my opinion. If you want to take a flyer at 33 or 44, I don't even love that, to be honest. I was looking at a couple names. Like I would kick the tires on. I don't know if they'd be available, but for Frank Reich there, I was thinking about McKee with the Eagles. Like what would that cost? I was thinking about Davis. Why am I blanking on his name now? With the Texans,
Davis
Mills. Yeah, Davis Mills. Thank you. I've got all these 26 draft names just jammed in my head. Those are a couple guys I'd be curious about taking a flyer on for a year if you could trade a mid-round pick. I don't think I would lean in the direction of the draft for their quarterback this year. I think they will be all in for that next year. They're obviously armed with ammunition in that draft, and I wouldn't be surprised if 33, which is always a pick that I think has some value as teams go to sleep and come back and look at who's still on the board, and they could trade down and pick up another asset in next year's draft. I think that would make some sense, but you can just plug a lot of different holes in this draft. And to me, it would be along the line of scrimmage. If you can get the offensive line, which has already got some good young pieces, finish that thing out, continue to add to this defensive line. And, you can add, receiver, corner. There's other things you can add in there. But if you go into next year with a bunch of picks and your offensive line's in good shape and your defensive line's in good shape, and you can find your quarterback of the future at that point in time, I think that's the right way to go. And who knows, maybe you hit the lottery on one of these younger veterans that you would try and get. But that makes more sense to me than trying to force it on a quarterback in the draft.
All right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot to unpack there, and we will break it down in many layers. Let's just start with this first one here, Bob Lederer. Daniel Jeremiah advises that the Jets should avoid the quarterback position almost entirely, unless it's something late in the 2026 NFL draft.
He didn't even say late.
Right. I'm even coloring the lines of like maybe there's a hint of that. Right. To his point, he said, I wouldn't take it at 2. I wouldn't take it at 16. Hell, I wouldn't even love taking it at 33 or 44. And then basically suggested that he wouldn't take it at all. He would go in a different direction, which we'll explore those trade things in a second. What's your response to Daniel Jeremiah saying, you know what, just punt on quarterback in the draft?
Yeah, I've said here in the last couple of weeks that the only guy that I would have any interest in doing anything with late is Nussmeier. I don't know. I see maybe 25% of the mock drafts have the Jets, taking the Alabama quarterback. Maybe it's 16.
Ty Simpson. Yeah.
I'm not only hoping that doesn't happen, but I'm hoping that the Jets are going to trade up from 16 to get somebody else like the safety that everybody is talking. I mean, I heard last night about Dallas should take him, and people I think are saying Kansas City should take him, and if he's that good, and I think if you looked at our defense, the worst position that we have any really talent at and not had any talent at is in the safety area.
I'd agree.
And if you can put somebody in there who last night was called a 10-year starter there, I just don't see why in the world you might not go that way. So maybe they move from 16 to 9 or something to take this guy and give up, one of their second round picks. I don't know. They're in a really challenging situation because I don't like any of the veteran quarterback possibilities for one reason, and that is like a lot of other Jet fans and even some of the people you talk to regularly here, I don't want to give up anything to bring in a veteran quarterback. And I also don't want to bring in a guy who's going to cost us $35 million against the cap.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a struggle. I was listening to Jake yesterday, and they were talking about, well, if they win 8 games or 9 games, I don't see what the kind of quarterback talent that they're likely to bring in, how they're going to win 8 games or 9 games, unless they have the greatest defense of all time and the other teams can't score. And that isn't going to happen. So this is going to be a challenging time before the draft. Next week is obviously critical, although I'm not one of those, let's see how many times they can pump iron, and that'll help me determine because they've done that. We've seen that. They've done that, and it's blown up in their face. And I'm sure it happened with other teams as well, but we've just seen it too much in the first.
So you're not an underwear Olympics guy, is what you're saying?
No, I'm not a member of the underwear Olympics, so I don't see why anybody else should be. When you watch them work out and pivot around, the obstacle courses and that sort of thing, and you measure their speed, I think most scouts will tell you learn a hell of a lot more at their pro days if you're really interested in them than you would do it as you just call it the underwear Olympics. So the Jets are in a tough spot. I won't draft a quarterback in that top 44. I mean, they might do it. In fact, I realized yesterday that if everything goes to plan and schedule, you and I are going to be together the morning after the first round.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That's going to be a show.
Talking about who they took in the first round.
Yeah.
I think the 33 is pivotal because the 33 is not just a second round pick. It's a second round pick that everybody is interested in, because every team in the league, as Jeremiah just said, when they go to bed on Thursday night are thinking about, okay, the next round, who is still there that we love, that we would love to get. So that pick could be very valuable, the first night. Certainly it will be after midnight the first night. So anyway, he makes a great. I liked how adamant he was in his belief.
Yeah,
I was listening to Kuiper yesterday, and Kuiper likes the guy from Alabama.
He does like the guy a lot from Alabama,
and I respect Kuiper.
Why? Yeah,
he's obviously, it's funny. Mel Kiper gets more attention when he's wrong about something, which isn't really that often. I mean, the Jeff Lagerman thing, I remember that draft, and his going nuts about Jeff Lagerman, and Jeff Lagerman turned out to be a very good football player.
Very much so. Yeah.
But I just watched the last 10 minutes of Alabama's games and watched him at quarterback, and I just was not impressed. The only thing that struck me in the bowl games he played and in the evaluations I saw after that was that, boy, his receivers really are horrible. He would have fit in. His receivers would have fit in beautifully with the Jets at the beginning of this past year. They couldn't catch the ball. He'd make some pretty good throws, and they just would drop the ball. So, no, I agree with Daniel. Let's build up the lines. Let's get another wide receiver, although I don't know how much value we're going to get out of them the first year. But with the proper kind of coaching, they will be ready for us the next year. But, let's think about it for a second, because no matter who they draft next year, let's say they draft Arch Manning.
Sure.
They're still going to have a veteran quarterback at the beginning of the year, chances are.
I hope so.
You're not going to want to throw the rookie quarterback in at the beginning of the 27 season to sink or swim.
Well, at least let them compete. I definitely don't want to hand another quarterback. I don't care if they're the number one overall pick.
No, but
let them have a real thing.
But I think you agree. We want to bring in a veteran quarterback who's going to allow us to ease that guy in.
Hopefully,
because,
right.
I'm telling you again, even with Namath, it took Namath 3, 4, 5 games before they let him get in, and the stands were going crazy chanting for him because Mike Tolliver, who was starting ahead of him, just wasn't very good. And even when Namath came in, he was not effective for 3 or 4 games. He showed all the skills, he showed the arm, but he had to learn, this part of it, and when to throw and when not to throw, and that took really 3 years. It wasn't until the Super Bowl year that he became the quarterback that everybody now thinks of and such. So let's not forget about the 27 season and who's going to be starting at quarterback for us that year, while the kid, whoever he is on the sidelines with the chalkboard, taking in the plays and getting the advice from another veteran quarterback that we'll bring in, who'll basically be there to be a short-term backup and a tutor, to whoever the young kid is.
Yeah, I think Daniel Jeremiah can be right, and also that fans can be a little like, man. And the man is like, so Daniel Jeremiah says, don't worry, Jet fans, 2027 NFL draft, that's the answer. And we're like, well, we still have to get through 2026. We're getting promises and whatever the math is on that, another 15 months. Don't worry, it's going to be great. Well, what about 2026? So to avoid, like, what a rookie quarterback is the excitement. It's a bubbling. You were talking about the fans chanting for Namath. It's the excitement of, even if things are going terribly, we bring in Kirk Cousins, whoever your random veteran you want to bring in, and they drafted Ty Simpson or any other rookie quarterback, and they're on the bench, and veteran is stinking. Instead of just, boo, this sucks, we're like, well, there is that rookie over there. He could be the answer. And to know there's no answer, because if the Jets were to listen to Daniel Jeremiah, they don't draft a quarterback, maybe at all, if not just super late. Like that takes away some excitement for Jet fans as they're going through the season. But I think I think we can all agree on this. Whether the answer is 2026 or 2027, we just want the answer to be right. So if we have to wait another year, then so be it.
Yeah, but
we got to figure it out.
I'm not, I think,
Okay.
but you're really a very typical fan, like the people who support you, BG.
Okay.
And I want to ask you,
Sure.
if they have a great draft, let's say it's a great draft that all four of the top four picks they've got start and are playing really well. Okay.
They better be. Yeah.
But you don't get the quarterback, and you get a very mediocre quarterback, or a quarterback who plays with very mediocre capability. I mean, you'll suck it up because you're on here every day. But how happy are you going to be inside that, here we go again? I mean, we're not going to win that many games. Hopefully they'll win more games than 3. They will.
Right.
If the first 4 guys work out, they'll win more than 4 games. But
yeah.
But what in your heart are you going to be happy and saying, well, there's always, the next draft and the wonderkind who's just around the corner?
I mean, again, fans can fan however they want. Me personally, every year I convince myself that this is going to be the year. Every week in a season, week 1, we fast forward there, I'm going to convince myself, 1-0 on the way to the Super Bowl, baby.
I hear one of the betting things, we're the favorites for next year.
What's that?
Really? There's one of the betting odds makers bets the Jets are going to win the Super Bowl next year.
Ooh, okay, nice.
I forgot which one it was, but I heard this yesterday.
Some pretty good odds probably on that. I like it. Well, so let's talk about the other thing that Dana Jeremiah brought up. That's the 2 veteran trade options. He admitted, I don't even know if these guys are available, but here are 2 names I've been thinking.
Oh, it is a separate video because he didn't talk about it there.
He did talk about it in this video. It was in the middle, so it could have gotten lost. Okay. It was a 2.5-minute clip. But the 2 names he brought up, and he admitted, I don't know if these guys are available, but here are 2 names I would like to see floated as a potential mid-round guy. It is Tanner McKee of the Philadelphia Eagles, and it is Davis Mills of the Houston Texans. I'll just say this real quick. I don't think there's any chance the Texans trade Davis Mills. Davis Mills just signed an extension in September of this past year, so a couple of months ago. C.J. Stroud ended the year terribly. And if I'm the Texans, I want insurance because C.J. Stroud also got hurt last year too. So to have Davis Mills ready to step in, I don't think he's going to be available. I think Tanner McKee is a different story. He's in the last year of his deal. They're paying Jalen Hurts $1 billion, crazy money they're paying him over there. So if Tanner McKee wants to be a starter, it ain't happening in Philadelphia. And if they just let him play out his rookie deal as a backup, they could lose him for nothing in 2027. I think Tanner McKee could be moved.
But I don't think anything's going to happen with Tanner McKee till after the draft because Philadelphia will want to have drafted the next kid that they're going to bring along.
The problem with that is that they kill their market because if they refuse to trade him till after the draft, if I'm another team, I'm signing free agent quarterbacks. If I'm another team, I'm drafting my own quarterbacks. So I think spots would be limited if they waited till then. I think if you're the Eagles, you try to trade him somewhere around the new league year time, somewhere over the next month and a half, somewhere in that time frame.
Let's play truth or dare, I guess it is.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So the Jets make it known to the Eagles well before the draft that they're interested in Tanner McKee.
Yeah.
And they can't agree on what the proper compensation would be.
Possible. Yeah.
Okay. And so draft night comes and Philadelphia then decides to draft a kid, whoever that is. Sure. Maybe it's Simpson, maybe it's Nussmeier, maybe it's, the kid from Penn State. And after the draft, they say to the Jets, okay, now we're willing to talk to you about McKee. But at that point, they've kind of, hurt themselves as far as potential compensation.
Exactamundo, which is what I think.
So, and I don't know how big a pick the Jets should or would be willing to give up for Tanner McKee.
It's tough
because you're talking about somebody you read about.
Well, right, because let's lay it all out there. Right. Tanner McKee was a 6th-round pick coming into the league. A 6th-round pick, okay, was Tanner McKee. And then you look at his history in the league, and now we're supposed to make a rash decision on the Mormon Missile. Great nickname, by the way. Thank you, Nick Faria, for sharing that. Yeah. Apparently it's the nickname for one Tanner McKee. Tanner McKee in his career, his NFL career, the full thing, has appeared in 6 games, and he's started 2. In those 2 games, he's thrown 88 passes, and he's looked fine and dandy in these games. 600 passing yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 pick, 61% completion percentage. That's all fine. But again, it's such a small sample size that, quite frankly, it almost doesn't even matter what his stats are. And then he's shown a couple of things in the preseason. What do you trade for that? He's in the last year of his deal. He's making nothing money, like $1.1 million bucks. If you're the Jets, what do I give up for that guy? Like, if I'm the Jets, I don't have a quarterback. So obviously Tanner's better than what I have, probably. But how do you ascertain trade value on a player like that? I have no idea. It's a total mystery.
You sure you do. You ask Frank Reich.
Oh, yeah. If Frank Reich likes Tanner McKee, then this is a very easy conversation. We go to the Eagles and we figure it out.
I don't think you give up a first. Yeah, nothing close to a first.
No first, no second, and they don't have a third.
They don't even have a third, so you don't give up a third either.
Fourth at the earliest.
Yeah, well, and I think a fourth would be high.
I do too.
I'm always amazed at how little these teams give up or trade a guy for. They'll trade a veteran player who they don't want to sign anymore, even though he's still pretty valuable. They'll trade him for a 5th or a 6th round pick.
Yeah.
Which to me is bupkis. Those are that's skeet shooting in the 5th and 6th round, unless you have the greatest scouting staff of all time.
Let me ask you if you do this. Yeah. Would you trade? The Eagles are set to lose a bunch of pieces like Jalen Phillips and free agency and stuff. Would you flip one of the pass rushers to the Eagles for Tanner McKee, Will McDonald, or Jermaine Johnson?
I wouldn't give up Jermaine. I've heard you talking about those things this week. I wouldn't give up Jermaine Johnson to.
I love Jermaine.
I wouldn't give him up to the Titans or anything, because Jermaine Johnson can work the edge.
Yeah,
and the other guy can't. He's proven. If you just want a pure pass rusher, okay. The Titans, how much you willing to give up for him?
Yeah.
Because apparently, the Jets draft options. I guess it's not Bain, but who's the other guy from the other? Not Reese, but who's the third guy that people talk about?
David Bailey out of Texas Tech.
Bailey supposedly can't stop you or me going around the corner.
Yeah.
They take. He played all 3 downs this year, and then I read another guy who was writing or following the team, and he says, no, he didn't play every down this past year. That's why I would keep Jermaine, because Jermaine, with the proper coaching, and I'm really high on the new defensive line coach because he's got a track record. So I think you're going to see vast improvement, especially from the younger guys who he's going to be able to really coach up. And that's really a critical thing. When you've got talented guys and they have at least 2, maybe 3, it's interesting. It'll be interesting to see, how much better he can make them.
Yeah, and another year removed from the Achilles for Jermaine, which I imagine.
Yeah. So, but going back to the original thing, Frank Reich, was in and around McKee for more than a year.
Right.
So he's seen the guy. In fact, was he? I don't think he was the quarterback's coach, or was the offense? Maybe he was the offensive passing coach. But McKee was there in front of him every day in practice, so he knows. What his ability was, how much improvement he showed. He probably had some idea, of what he can do in reading defenses and that sort of thing. So, but again, when you're going for him, if let's say that they traded for Tanner McKee, and let's say that Tanner McKee had a bust out year next year,
right?
Okay, now you don't need Arch Manning anymore, right? Because you got your young quarterback. Because McKee is how old?
McKee, I have it in front of me. He is 25. And by the way, it looks like Frank Reich and McKee never crossed over.
Oh, really?
So McKee wasn't drafted until 2023. He's been there since 2023, and Frank Reich's last year in Philadelphia was 2017.
Oh, okay. Really? So he wasn't there.
Okay. And then he missed him at Stanford, too. So even when he was at Stanford, McKee had already been in the NFL. So they haven't crossed over. But what everyone says is Stanford and Philadelphia, he would have connections to both of those places. So let's
rewind the tape from 10 minutes ago, and we'll say, well, how do you assess what you give up for him? And boy, it's not as if you can say to the Eagles, let us come down and watch them in practice for a week, and then we'll let you know what we think.
Or maybe, again, here's a possibility. I agree with you. I love Jermaine over Will. I hate to pick between them, but I prefer Jermaine.
Yeah.
If Will McDonald has the value of a second or third round pick, is what some analysts and insiders have said. If you call the Eagles and say either straight up swap or the Eagles give us a little bit more back because of what McDonald's is 18 and a half sacks over the last 2 years. So maybe it is good enough for a straight player for player swap, but maybe there's another way. NC Green has a trade suggestion for this McKee stuff. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you. Wow. Right. Maybe there is some kind. I don't love this because I think 44 is super valuable, but I get it. At least it's just a pick swap. And in theory, you pick up a quarterback that hopefully can solve your problems for at least 2026 and maybe beyond. But that's not a bad play. Let me pull up that number. I have it here on the NFL draft value chart, what that would be for the Eagles. I want to see how far we're dropping in this. The Eagles have the 68th overall pick, so they'd be moving up 24 spots to go up to 44.
And how much? And what are 44 spots worth?
That's
and what are they worth in the third and fourth round as opposed to the first or second?
Yeah, so see, let's do this math real quick. I wasn't aware math was going to be a part of this program, but we're willing to adapt here, Bob Lederer. So here we go. So the difference in value is the equivalent of a middle of the round third round pick. So let's explain what that means. So the 44th overall pick for the Jets is worth 460 draft points.
Okay.
The 68th overall pick is worth 250 draft points for the Eagles. So you split the difference, and then that's a 210 point difference. Then you look through the value chart at where does 210 slot in the draft, and that is a mid third round pick value. Is basically what that is the equivalent to. So again,
we'd be trading a mid third round pick for McKee.
Essentially, right. In this scenario, you're not losing any picks, you're just dropping because you're swapping.
That seems high.
Yeah, like I said, I think 44 is so valuable. I'd be very nervous to give up.
Yeah, I could see. Okay, so seriously, what's a fourth? What's McKee and a fourth for 44? What's the difference there?
Oh,
I hate to put you back to on the math train, but that's what you're here for. You're here to respond to the masses.
Yeah. So interestingly, the Eagles' third round pick that they have at the top, they acquired that through a different trade because obviously the Eagles
is that ours or did they trade that one somewhere else?
Oh, yes, that's a good point. That is ours. I didn't right. That'd be the Hassan Reddick pick. That's hilarious. I didn't even think about that. So good on you, Bob, to remember that. So yes,
I can't remember names, but I remember that stuff.
And there you go. So yes, in theory, in this funny trade that NC Green suggested, they'd be giving our pick back to us from the Hassan Reddick deal to move up. That'd be hilarious. They do have,
that pick would be early in the third round.
Correct. Yeah, it's a fourth pick in the third round.
I thought we were thinking about the Eagles' third round pick.
This is the Eagles' third round pick. So we don't have a third round pick.
They don't have any other third round pick?
So we don't have any third round pick whatsoever.
Right, gotcha.
We traded that to them. The Eagles have 2 third round picks. They have 68 and they have 98.
But there's a difference between the Jets' third round pick that the Eagles own and the Eagles' own third round pick.
Correct. Yeah, that's a slot
because
difference.
It wouldn't be because then it wouldn't be so many spots from 44 to that third round pick, or did you already calculate that in?
Yes, I calculated the higher of the picks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So again, it's still
high.
It's an interesting thought by NC Green.
Yes, he's on the right track.
Yeah. Again, I'm curious because we're all sort of spitballing because Tanner McKee is this bag of mystery. We don't have a lot of stuff on him, but a lot of people believe he can be a legitimate starter in this league. And are the Jets willing to do that? And here's the other thing. Whatever value we think, let's say he's worth a third round pick. I'm making that up. What if 10 teams want him? Then all of a sudden the third round price goes up because other teams want him and the Jets are competing with these other teams. That increases the difficulty of trying to acquire a McKee. So
yeah, that's true. But I think there are a limited number of other teams that would want to, again, take an unpolished or an unproven guy who's played 6 games and who hasn't played for Green Bay and basically been given the chance to play when the starting quarterback got hurt. Basically McKee has played in mop-up time or in games where the Eagles didn't care if they won or lost and that sort of thing. NC, I slap you on the back and say really nice thinking, but I'm now thinking more of a fourth, maybe a fifth and a sixth. I don't know.
Right.
But I wouldn't give up a lot, for somebody. And like I said before, I'm just not interested. I'm not even remotely interested after reading about Derek Carr and want to talk about Harrison Phillips and the cancer thing. Talk about the guy who was a cancer in the clubhouse in New Orleans.
Oh, do tell.
Garrett Wilson's running mate at Ohio
Chris
State.
Olave?
Yeah,
Okay.
Chris Olave.
All right.
He wanted to retire. He was so annoyed.
Oh, really?
Oh,
I didn't see that.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Wow,
yeah.
all right.
I went deep into what was going on there.
Okay.
And one of the offensive linemen just wanted to take Derek Carr and take him into an alley and welcome him,
wow.
to the alleys of New Orleans.
Wow.
He almost wanted to kill him. He was so mad at him.
Wow.
And Derek Carr's statistics they're not great, but they're not terrible.
Okay.
But one particular story that I heard is that he was in the pocket and under no pressure, and he threw a pass that was about 6 feet over the receiver's head.
Mm-hmm.
And on the sidelines, he started berating the receiver for what, maybe ran the wrong route, who knows, whatever. But he made a whole big commotion about it.
All right.
A public display that upset everybody. So Derek Carr, and he wants to play for a Super Bowl contender.
Yeah.
Which, except for the one prognosticator I told you about at the start today, the Jets are not projected to get to that position. So I'm not interested in Derek Carr. I'm not interested in the quarterback from Arizona. I don't think that they could get the second string at Arizona because I think he's going to be their starter.
Okay, but real quick before we go on to other guys, so just to have it on Derek Carr.
Davis Mills, I can't give you a thought. I don't think I've watched Davis Mills more than maybe on a highlight or two.
Yeah, I've seen him a handful of times. I've seen a handful of his starts, but again, I don't think the Houston Texans are going to trade him. But real quick on your guy Derek Carr here, there have been times in my life when I was single. And I told the universe, I want this, this girl when I was younger, the girl that everyone loved was Megan Fox. And I told the universe, I'm interested in Megan Fox. And people are like, oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So Derek Carr says he's interested in playing for a team that can win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
The question you must follow up with is Megan Fox interested in Boy Green? Is the Super Bowl team, apparently, that has everything all set except for quarterback, looking for Derek Carr? My guess, no, with all due respect to Derek Carr. So I think there will be a blunt reality. Now, according to Derek Carr in his podcast, he said, to your point, I'm only playing for a team that I think can win a Super Bowl. And if no team that wants to win a Super Bowl picks him, then maybe he'll just stay retired and maybe there's nothing.
And he's 35 years old and he's always been injury prone.
Sure.
And as you get older, you don't get less injury prone.
That's probably true. Yeah.
And you don't recover. I mean, even you at the tender age of 32, realize that if you hurt yourself, you don't recover quite as well as you did when you were 22.
I have not.
It takes time.
Yeah.
When you get to be in your 70s, all bets are off.
Yeah, the same. I appreciate that.
Boy, Green, when you're in your 70s, one of the questions that the doctor, your internist, asks you when you have your physical every year is, are you afraid of falling down? And the answer, if you have any brains at all, is, I'm afraid of falling down.
Yeah.
Because if you break a hip at my age, that usually is a quick downhill to the cemetery.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah,
wow,
because you become very susceptible to pneumonia and all kinds of stuff. And that's what ultimately does you in. And you don't know them, but I could cite, 6, 7, 10 people I know, in my life who have had that happen to them. So yes, I'm afraid to fall down.
Well, maybe my birthday's coming up in April. I turned 33. Maybe I could get a Life Alert necklace. Maybe
Yeah,
that's a maybe I could add that
I
in.
think for for the benefit of you and the kids and your wife, I think that could be a very valuable thing.
I've fallen and I pick it up.
Have your wife buy that for you at your birthday.
Yeah, nice. She'll really appreciate that. She likes it. She likes it when other people think I'm old. That helps her. She loves it when other people I have a lot of silver in the beard. They give the old, oh wow, man, you're dating this old geezer. And she's like, yeah,
I know
she's older than me.
I know someone who will go unnamed. Who laughs when she sees somebody fall down or hurt themselves in some way. And she doesn't do it out of, spite or anger or anything. She just breaks out into uncontrollable laughter.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, there's something special about that. I think we can cherish in this universe.
I think so. Yeah.
So, making sure that we got through everything. So again, Daniel Jeremiah, he advises the Jets against drafting a quarterback, quite frankly, at any point, but specifically within the first 2 rounds of the draft where the Jets have 4 picks. And again, there is a strong case to be made that he's right about that and that the Jets will have to wait, but patience is a virtue. I like this other point. We haven't talked about this yet, but the Jets have the 33rd overall pick, which is the first pick of the second round. It could be a very valuable asset. Daniel Jeremiah said he wouldn't be surprised if the Jets are able to trade that pick, but not get assets in 2026. Like, someone could trade from 38 and give up a second and a third to take that 33 pick. Daniel Jeremiah says, hey, trade that 33rd pick and get assets in 2027. Maybe a team is froggy enough to give up a 2027 first to move up to 33 because there is a first-round player that fell into the laps of 33. Maybe that's the avenue the Jets could go and keep piling up picks in the future. That doesn't help AG now, which may be a conflicting interest, but interesting thought there. What do you think about that?
The only problem with that is that the Jets have so many needs, particularly on defense and in wide receiver.
Sure.
And this draft is supposedly deep in defensive players and wide receivers. In fact, I heard yesterday, I guess Kuiper said there's enough talented wide receivers to take you into the 3rd round.
I heard that. Yes. Yep.
Well, I don't want to wait. I don't want to go into the 3rd round to get somebody. I want to get somebody maybe with that 16th pick. Everybody is kind of agreeing on the wide receiver. Is it from USC or is it UCLA?
USC, it's Mekhi Lemon.
Mekhi. But I mean, that's since everybody's talking about it. That's obviously who I'm, leaning towards being the great draft guru that I am.
Obviously,
not. So anyway, no, I don't want to trade that 33rd pick for next year. We got enough ammunition for next year. We have a 3rd round pick next year. And who knows with some of the play, you've made a great point this week that they're probably not going to get any bonus picks next year because they're going to be spending a lot of money on guys this year. Although some of the guys that they signed this year may be their own players. And does that count? That does not count against the bonus pool, does it?
What do you mean?
Well, if they sign Tucker, if they sign Vera Tucker, to a multi-year
deal.
No.
Re-signing your own. No.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And yet, that $70 million in draft capital or draft money right now that they've got would be consumed partially if they sign Tucker for even 1 year for $12 million. There's $12 million off that $70 million that you have to spend. So,
right.
There is that. No, I'm not. They got enough for next year.
Yeah. Okay.
And again, because of the depth of the defensive selections, although the Jets may not value it as highly as generally believed, that's I'm all for fortifying everything we can for next year and making them as strong as they can, which will also help AG. It'll help Muji, and it'll help the fans have some hope. During a year where they're not going to be all that, fascinating offensively necessarily to watch. Although, if they bring in the right guy who can just sling the ball around, they can make it interesting.
Which, again, interesting, I think, is always good for business. So,
it's essential. When you're filling 78,000 seats or trying to, and you've increased the price of your seats an average of 10%. Across the board, Woody, what are you thinking? It's it's imperative that you put an attractive product on the field. And I already told you, the gentleman who helped me with my book, who was a longtime ticket holder, and his dad was a season ticket holder before, he's giving it up. He says it's getting too expensive and it's getting to be too annoying. Which is interesting. I'll bring something up nobody here will care about, but I'll bring it up anyway. There's a story going around here. The Bears may go play in Indiana.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah,
and it's like on a good day, it's a 20-minute drive from downtown Chicago to where they want to build a ballpark.
Yeah,
but they don't have the infrastructure,
to
accommodate 70 or 80 million people from Chicago going into Indiana every Sunday. So people were moaning and groaning online yesterday, and I just wrote on Beast Guy, hey, listen, don't even worry about it. It's only going to add an extra 2 or 3 hours each way.
See, there you go. That's
just like Jets and Giants fans have had to deal with, for the last 20 years. So
sure. Hey, by the way, you brought up earlier putting an attractive product on the field. Speaking of, this was Megan Fox in the movie Transformers when I was younger. How could you possibly forget as she was changing? I think guys find a lot of things attractive. Women attractive, sure, that's on there. But like women that know cars and could fix a car, all of that just seemed to do it. So salute to Megan Fox in my earlier years. Great times, great times. By the way, we have 150 people in the let me rephrase. We have over 300 people watching across all our platforms, so thank you very much. Over 150 of those are watching on YouTube. Folks, make sure you guys like the video here on YouTube. That is the free way to contribute. We have 50 likes, but 150 people in the room. So let's show our support. And our raffle prize for this month. Look, some Darrelle Revis, some Jet shorts, some Boy Green Woody tailgate action.
And the Jet shorts are unworn. They're new.
They are unworn, brand new. And Bob, I don't remember if I told you this, but when you order like a shirt or jersey or whatever, they have a name for it on the website. The name for these particular Jet shorts that they're selling on their website are the quote no defense shorts, and I thought that was very fitting considering what just transpired last season. So thank you, Jets, for being very on brand there. And I'll grab a hat for my personal Jets collection. All gas, no breaks.
All gas shorts.
Yeah, there you go. They're beautiful. And I'll grab a Jets hat from my collection to throw this in there as well. If you guys want to be a part of this, all you have to do is spend $3 on the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that little money sign and gift super stickers, super chats. All those conversations are welcome here on the program. So spread the love if you enjoy the show and help support me and my family. I'd appreciate that out in the universe. I see we had a message earlier, so I want to throw this up there from the old Yankee. Had a question, and then we could get anything off your chest, Bob, and we can open up the phone lines after that. Old Yank says, any free agent safeties you and Bob are interested in? I just did the safety show on Boy Green Meets Woody yesterday.
Then I'm going to rely on you since I couldn't name one guy, but go ahead.
Okay. So there were 5. So ESPN put out a top 50 big board of the best free agents that are set to be available. 5 safeties cracked the list in order. Brian Cook of the Kansas City Chiefs, 25. Reed Blankenship of the Philadelphia Eagles at 32. Cam Curl of the Los Angeles Rams at 41. Jaquan Brisker of your Chicago Bears over in your neck of the woods at 44.
He's a good player. Yeah.
And then finally, Kobe Bryant. No, not that Kobe. It's spelled C-O-B-Y. Kobe Bryant of the Seattle Seahawks, who just won the Super Bowl at 47 on the list. So if I was trying to pluck one from this group, I'd probably go with Reed Blankenship on value. He's expected to get $7 million on the open market. Some of these other guys are in the double-digit money category. And one guy who didn't make the top 50 list, who I like a lot, is another one of your Chicago brethren, is Kevin Byard, who led the league in picks this year. He is a interception machine. He's older, so you have to factor that in. Hopefully AG can get past that on the dating profile. As long as he can there, I think Kevin Byard makes a lot of sense on the back end of the team.
I just had a thought about Kobe Bryant.
Okay, please.
He's coming off the field after winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Hey, Kobe Bryant, you just won the Super Bowl. Where are you going? And he says, I'm going to the New York Jets.
See? Kobe, I could see it. That could make a lot of sense there. So there's actually a lot of names I like on this list, and I'm seeing people react to Liz Cam Curl.
And again, because I'm horrible with names. Who is the safety that everybody wants out of the draft?
Oh, that is Caleb Downs out of Ohio State.
That's who I want. Why?
Yeah, that'd be great.
He'll be cheaper, and he'll give them supposedly, first-rate athleticism and tackling ability and everything else for for Bupkis for nothing, against the salary cap. So, yeah, that's my guy.
Yeah, which I like a lot. The more,
By the way, I saw that Brees
Yeah.
is considered the number 2 free agent.
Yeah, on the Athletics big board, a couple of different sites have different big boards. The Athletic put theirs out, and he is the number 2 overall free agent, regardless of position. And wow, and he's 24 years old. And I think sometimes it makes you think, no matter what you think of Brees, some people love Brees, some people hate Brees, some people think he's overrated, some people think he's underrated. When someone, I hope, no matter where you stand, this side, when you see a unbiased list, right there, and it's not a bunch of Jets fans working over there. They just cover the entire National Football League. That they unbiased put Brees Hall number 2 overall on the free agent board. If you're the Jets, you got to look yourself in the mirror and say, if you were going to tag him, great, pat yourself on the back. If you weren't going to tag him, you got to think twice when you see him ranked number 2 overall on the big board. That's how the rest of the league thinks about him. So, yeah, you haven't. I don't know if Bob, we've heard where you stand on this. Would you tag Brees Hall or not tag Brees Hall?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay. We're on the same page.
You if you've said it once, you've said it 1,000 times this week.
Yeah.
You don't give him up for nothing.
No,
you don't get nothing in return. I did hear yesterday, I think, that he's now talking about wanting a multi-year contract. Well, zippity doo dah, it doesn't necessarily work that way.
No, it does not.
Look, I want to get into culture a little bit before we get any, too far down the road. But
okay.
But if the Jets, if they tag him for a year and they start winning next year,
sure,
his value to himself and to the Jets will be that much greater.
Sure.
And that's all you can really do, even though you want the comfort and the soft pillowness of a 3 or 4 year contract, especially when you're a running back whose career could be over after any single play.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not the way the NFL is, and that's why you get paid so richly. When you do get to a status of beyond, your original, draft contract.
For sure. And again, just on back to the Caleb Downs thing, the more I've thought about it, the more I've like, man, that could make a lot of sense. A lot of people in the same sort of fashion as free agent big boards, some people have Caleb Downs as a top 3 player in this draft. And we're just going to say,
I've heard people say that, I don't know why there's this bias against drafting somebody like that second or third in the draft if he's that good.
And you mentioned it earlier, Bob. If you looked at all the positions on the roster and say, where do you think the worst talent is? Like you just really just tried to, do it. You may say quarterback because quarterback stinks. Okay, fine. Put quarterback aside. And then you look at the rest. You're going to very quickly find the safety position. You have Malachi Moore, who I think a lot of people like. He's a young player. Well, I don't know what he is, but he's a nice player. And then
he needs a running mate of some capability,
right,
in order to make a judgment about him.
All right, Bob. Okay, here's a trivia game, but it's not a trivia game. I'm going to get you to guess. I'm going to show you the list of names that are currently under contract for the Jets at the safety position. Because again, I just did the show yesterday. Besides Malachi Moore, do you know who any of these people are? Do you know who Keidron Smith is or Christopher Smith II?
I know they just signed Christopher Smith a couple of weeks ago.
They did, from the Rams. They did, yeah.
And Dean Clark, didn't he play Superman on TV? No, that was a different one.
Yeah, different Clark. Undrafted free agent out of Fresno State. Okay. But this, I'm not kidding, folks. For those who are watching on the screen, these are the current safety group that's under contract for the Jets in 2026. That group for our audio-only listeners.
And
Malachi Moore.
Who's the veteran safety that Woody demanded be benched a couple of years ago?
Tony Adams, who, by the way,
I was shocked to read yesterday. He has a market.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard that, and I love Rich, and Rich has really good insight. So
I mean, I wouldn't doubt what Rich is saying.
But it's crazy.
I'm just wondering what is that market? I mean,
I don't know. Apparently, according to Rich Samini, multiple teams are interested in Tony Adams. Not only just interested in general, interested in him as the starting safety, so he could get a nice deal on free agency. Which, by the way, would be sneaky good news for the Jets if you're on the comp pick bingo game. Yeah. I bring up Javon Kinlaw, a guy that came here for a year. Jet fans sort of universally hated when they saw how he performed on the field, said, wow, this guy stinks. And he immediately left the Jets and signed a $45 million deal with the Commanders. We all went, what? It was a surprise.
So I say fly away, and get a lot of money when you fly away.
Yeah,
because
please
that'll
do.
help us. Yeah.
Right. So again, the audio only listeners, these are the
But
safeties that
every
are under
team,
contract right now.
team also needs a safety who can double as a water boy. So.
Well, hey, and maybe he could do both. Versatile. That's what you're always looking for in the safety room.
And he was a free agent, right? When the Jets signed him.
Undrafted free agents. Yeah, he didn't get selected in the draft and then joined them on humble beginnings.
So that has implications too on what we're being crazy here, but what his value would be as a bonus pick. What they get an extra undrafted free agent guy to sign next year.
Hey, I'll give him a tip of the cap. It's an amazing story to be an undrafted free agent making the NFL is very difficult. To just make it as a 53rd guy, to just make it on a team.
That was his story his first year or two. Yeah.
Right. And not only did he make it, he became a full-time starter and he's going to make himself, it sounds like, some nice money for agency, and God bless, good for him. But yeah, that's nuts. So it's a good story for him, but our safety room stinks.
Until Woody started watching film.
Apparently, which again, that's still, I didn't know that Woody Johnson knew who Tony Adams was, let alone that he would demand him to be benched.
Well, he heard the PA announcer say tackle by Woody Adams.
Yeah,
and then, by Tony Adams. And Woody would say, well, wait a minute. He made the tackle 35 yards down the field.
That's possible of what he would have ascertained from that. So again, Malachi Moore, Keidron Smith, Dean Clark, Jers Monroe, Christopher Smith II. The point of bringing up these names is that we don't have any names. So Caleb Downs should totally be in the conversation.
Well, the bigger point that you could make is if you expanded that list, let's say for the last 5 years, you would see names on there and say, whatever became of. It's like, I would always refer back to baseball. It's like for years, the Mets couldn't fill anybody at third base. From 1962 until David Wright showed up, they just couldn't find a third baseman.
Well,
and the Jets have this gaping hole at safety that they have not really had any strength at least since probably Rex's days.
I would probably say I'd give credence to 2017. Jamal Adams was a former first-team All-Pro. So him and Marcus May, for a very brief period of time, had a little love. But no, to your point of going back to Jim Leonard days and things of that nature, I see Philly Noodles has a comment about this safety situation. Wow. Sounds like he's opposed to Caleb Downs in this, and I've heard other people have this take, but Philly Noodle says Caleb Downs.
He's right in the fact that the higher you draft him, the more money you have to pay him, and maybe a safety is not worth that. But even I don't know. Yeah, I don't even know what the choice at number 2 is guaranteed because there obviously is a threshold that
it's like $50 million.
Yeah, well, that's probably a lot for a safety, but.
Right, which is, I'm sure, what Philly Noodles is suggesting here, that Caleb Downs at 2 is a lot of money, and 50 is a lot of money.
That's a whole different, you just have to, if you wanted to get him and trade up to get him, you'd have to be with a team that didn't have a desperate need at safety, and that sort of thing, so that you could interest them in maybe another player. Taking at 16 and someone else that you take in the second round or whatever. So anyway.
Yeah, but no, in a perfect world, I want to take a player exactly where he should be picked. So I don't if you could take Caleb Downs at 2, I could take him at 8. Well, I'd prefer to take him at 8. That means someone traded me some asset to move up to 2, and I still get the player I wanted and a pick. In a perfect world, that's how it works. But perfect world doesn't work. Sometimes you get cute and you miss out on your player. The Jets have a lot of money. If they think Caleb Downs is a superstar, I don't care whether they take him at 2, 10, 12, 40. Take him and you add him to the team.
Yeah, but they need linebackers too.
Of course, they need everything. But you can only take one player at each pick. So if they determine that Caleb Downs is a star, take him, and we'll figure out the money stuff later. And I know he'd be the highest drafted safety of all time. The highest drafted safety in NFL history to this point is 5th overall. Sean Taylor went 5th overall, and Eric Berry went 5th overall. That's the highest a safety has ever been drafted. So Jets should be making certain history here at Caleb, but people talk up Caleb pretty nicely with what he brings to the table. So again, something else to consider. Bob, before we go to the phone lines, is there anything you want to get off your chest? Now is your time to do
so. Culture.
Okay, culture.
And I'm not going to dote on this, but we talked about Harrison Phillips and the cancer culture on the Jets. And a couple of days after my appearance last Friday, I was reading The Athletic, and I was reading about a very interesting column I thought about the Seahawks and their recent adherence to the culture that they have built since they won their first Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually had hired a clinical psychologist named Michael Gervais. And the whole article, and it's worth people going, and if anybody really is interested, I'll be glad to share it with Paul, and he can post it. But basically what he talked about, at one point he said, it is more, he says, every organization has a culture, and this guy is really kind of the guru for the whole Seattle Seahawks organization. And it's more than just the players. It's more than just the coach and coaches. It's more than just the general manager. It's the whole building. Okay. And he said, this is Gervais, every organization has a culture. The question is that culture in service of high performance? Does that culture support and challenge people to be their very best? And I could go into more deeply, but I won't, because I also saw an article this week that was very, very positive about the Jets. And Adonai Mitchell talked about the fact that when he came on board after the trade deadline last year, that he was overwhelmed with how well the Jet organization treated him. They made everything completely easy for him off the field so that he could focus and concentrate on playing, learning the Jet system, adapting to their coaches and the way they wanted routes run and that sort of thing. So that's a real positive for the Jets. But the bottom line on it to me, and I'll just leave it at this, is that it's more than just winning. It's what you have to create in the clubhouse and through the entire building in order to put yourself in a place where you can win. And it's not just the talent on the field, but bringing the best that you can out of that talent and getting everybody, focused on that same area. And so apparently Glenn has done a good job. If I use Mitchell, as an example, who really knows? But again, it's more than just winning. It's everything you build that can lead to the winning. And I'll leave it at that.
So how far away do you think the Jets are from that with the culture?
I think they're probably a year away. And I think it gets to what we just talked about a little while ago about firming up all the other positions and the players having faith and confidence that, hey, our defense is pretty damn good. And our offensive line, boy, it's really good. And we now have some good wide receivers. And let's give, that quarterback, whoever he is next year, everything that we can to make it work for him, because he's got the experience and the leadership, hopefully, and we can learn from him and we can make it easier for him. So I think it's a year away if everything goes well, and if AG's able to put all the pieces together on the field. And I'm moving off the subject a little bit here, but I'm still concerned about him, basically calling the defense, because he didn't show great capability of being the coach, on the sidelines and knowing when to call timeouts and when to try field goals and when to throw it. Desperation passes at the end of a half because you had no other reason not to, and that sort of thing. So,
yes, I will say this because I haven't said this anywhere outside of social media. Mike Florio of Pro Football Talk destroyed Woody Johnson on his podcast for his supposed meddling that has been suggested that Aaron Glenn wanted to hire Wink Martindale. These are all the rumors. Aaron Glenn wanted to hire Wink Martindale. He goes down to Palm Beach and tries to get approval on the final numbers from Woody. Hey, this is what I want to do. And Woody apparently tells AG, hey, buddy, you know what? We're not hiring Wink. You're going to call this defense. You're this defensive expert. You're going to be the guy. And reportedly, that's what happened. You can believe or not believe out there in the universe. But what I would say is this. If Woody Johnson did meddle like that, as it's been suggested by a few people, I think that was the smartest meddling that Woody Johnson has ever done in his life.
Really? Wow.
I do. And here's the thing also. This is like a mini
Tell me
rant.
more.
Yeah, there's probably a mini rant for the future, but like people say, I hate when Woody Johnson meddles. I'll tell you this. if I was the owner of this team and I'm a billionaire and you're saying any involvement with the team is meddling, then go kick rocks, go pound sand. Shouldn't the guy who owns the team for billions of dollars, shouldn't he have say? Shouldn't he be able to speak to the coaches and give suggestions and things? Why not? I would do it if I was the guy, but everyone says meddling is terrible. I think meddling in an overall sense of like not letting your football people do what they're supposed to do is bad. But I think there's some meddling that's okay. In this particular scenario, I think the meddling made sense. He's right. AG, you trusted someone else to run the defense. You hired a guy, and Steve Wilkes said, hey, buddy, you're running the defense. It was a miserable failure. So AG, a couple months later, is like, all right, I screwed that up. All right, I'm going to hire another guy, and he's going to run the defense. And then if that goes bad, AG gets fired. That doesn't make any sense. If I'm Woody, I say, hey, AG, you run the defense. And here's the thing. If it works, AG is going to they're going to build a statue for AG. Wow, look at him. Look at this defensive mastermind. 1 year, he takes over the defense, and then it's great. Wow, okay, a lot of credit. If it fails, if AG is the guy, and all these people that critique his Detroit Lions run as defensive coordinator say, wow, he sucks. If you're AG, you're going to get fired. And if you wake up in the morning, as you continue to get paid by the Jets for the next 20 years because of your contract, you can wake up and look in the mirror and say, I'm good. I did everything I possibly could. I attempted to call the defense. It flopped, but I got no one to blame but myself. I can sleep at night for the rest of my life. If I was AG and I hired Wink Martindale to run the defense and Wink did a shitty job and then AG gets fired because Wink did a crappy job, I'd be like, damn, what if I would have called the defense? What if? There's no what if anymore. He's calling the defense now. So I like that meddling, if that's what we're going to call it from Woody Johnson.
I'm not even going to play devil's advocate. I couldn't disagree with you any stronger.
Beautiful. I love that. Yes.
Because, and I thought about this after listening, not even to more than just the criticism of Woody on that, but did you listen to Jake's interview with Manish Mehta this week?
I did.
Controversial. I mean, I know. I don't even know what they're referring to when they talk about why Manish got fired by the Daily News or let go by the Daily News but anyway, let me make the point.
Yeah. Okay.
I listened to it and I thought Jake was right in one important sense, that is the descriptions that Manish gave for the inner workings of the management of the New York Jets. And my problem was there's no we talked about this weeks ago. There's no football expertise in the management of the New York Jets. He's got personal corporate attorneys negotiating contracts. And he made one point. He said when they signed Joe Douglas, they offered Joe Douglas $16 million or something like that for 2 years or whatever it was. And Douglas ended up getting $20 million a year for like 4 years. This is the genius of the Jets attorney that does all their negotiating for them of their coaches and such, because they don't know what they're doing. Now, let me get specifically to the point you made about Woody.
Yeah.
Woody doesn't know shit about football.
Wow.
You or I don't know shit about football if we were in that position. Okay. And if you don't have enough confidence in your coach that you decided to hire, okay, and you're quibbling with him about $5 million, okay, it's real money. I don't got it. You don't have it, I think.
I can confirm. I do
okay,
not.
you can confirm. Okay, now we know your real financial position.
Yeah.
And mine. If you don't have enough faith in who you've hired to make the decisions he wants to make. He's running it by you, which is your rule that he has to do if he wants to hire a defensive coordinator for $5 million a year for 3 years or 4 years or however long it was going to be. Mm-hmm. But the problem is that Woody and Chris make their money from the Jets. They are not, as we all have thought, heirs to the Johnson & Johnson fortune. They're kind of corporate people who kind of siphon off money from the Johnson & Johnson, or business, and they call it the Johnson & Johnson Corporation, whatever it is that these guys are running. So that's why he raises prices on tickets by 10%, because it's money going into his pocket. Well,
Mhm.
hallelujah. Congratulations. I'm glad you're in position to do that. But if Aaron Glenn wanted to hire a defensive coordinator and pay him $5 million a year, you should say, okay, Aaron, listen, and this is what I would do. Really, I thought about this
Okay.
because I've run a very small company, but I've run my own company. I would
Yes.
say, okay, I will, because I've actually had situations like that. I had a guy who worked for me, and we
Okay.
had a big, successful conference that we ran as part of our business, and we made a
Mhm.
lot of money. And he came to me and said, I think I should get a piece of that, because I was instrumental in making that conference succeed. And I thought about it and said, you know what? You're right. I'm going to give you a bonus, for that. Now, my wife killed me, but I gave him the money. And
All
so I've got in this situation. And if I were Woody, I would have said, okay, Aaron, I don't agree with what you're asking me to do, but I hired you and I have to have the confidence and faith that you know what you're doing. Instead, Woody, I'm sure, looked at this, because if the story is true as to what he actually said to AG, hey, I'm paying you $12 million a year and you're a defensive genius and that sort of thing. So why don't you just call the plays, and you can spend as much money. This is the other thing. Go spend your money on an offensive genius.
Sure.
Okay? That flabbergasted me. I was not surprised. I was not shocked. That sounds like typical Woody, but that's why I disagree with you. I think.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. If you get to the right destination, does it matter the path you took? And that's this, right? So there are some alleged that the reason that Woody did all this because he was a cheap bastard and he didn't want to pay all that money to Wink, and then he'd rather pay it on one side and he would pay it to Frank. That's what the rumors say. So, okay, that's one perspective. And then AG he wasn't going to call the defense. He was going to figure out this. And now, despite the weird road that all of this took, now AG's calling the plays. To me, I think AG calling the plays was the best result of what anything could have happened. Now, I would have probably written the story a little bit differently of how to get from point A to point B, of where we were at the end of last season to AG now all of a sudden calling plays. But at the end of the day, I think we got to the right result, even if the path was very wonky.
I have no problem with the AG signing or bringing on a defensive coordinator, which he did.
Right.
But I don't know how much. Yeah. I don't know how much coordinating this younger guy is going to do. If
probably nothing.
If AG's calling the plays, and that's the problem, because if you hire a veteran, and there were other guys, besides the one guy that AG had zeroed in on, okay, I would still rather have that person spending all their time and attention running the defense with AG overseeing. Just like Woody's overseeing, but AG has the expertise to oversee and say to him, "That's okay, but here's my suggestion. I think you'd like to do these three things as well, especially because the Colts like to do these things. So let's be prepared to do these things defensively." And so that's my thing about you hired AG to be the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't hire him to be the defensive coordinator. If your genius agent decided to give him $12 million to a first-year coach who was not Ben Johnson, because Ben Johnson got even more than that from the Bears, then it's shame on you.
Aaron Glenn was still highly thought of, though. It wasn't like he was some random person that got a big contract.
But he wanted the Jets.
No, sure. He did want the Jets, and the Jets apparently wanted him.
You were in a better negotiating position, than you might normally otherwise, especially for a first-year coach. You think first-year coaches come in, no matter who they are. Look, LaFleur goes from, the Rams, right?
Yeah.
And goes to head Arizona.
Sure.
And he was in demand because the Rams had a pretty good offense. Also had a great quarterback running that offense.
That helps. Yeah, sure.
But you think that LaFleur went in and said, hey, I'm in the driver's seat. These are my demands. No, I guarantee. And the Bidwells, are no geniuses either. I mean, they've shown that over and over again in Arizona. So, no, I mean, the Jets were in a very strong negotiating position. AG wanted them. They probably wanted him, but maybe not as much as AG wanted them. You didn't have to give him $12 million if that was really a sticking point. And yet, let's accept that Woody gives AG a hug every day, He loves the guy, or at least he did until he went 3-14.
Yeah, well, that's also probably true.
So
But
anyway,
if Woody would have underpaid AG and lowballed him, the Woody Johnson would have gotten a lot of shit for that.
yeah,
if
but
he
you're
would have
going
done
you're
that.
going to the extremes of lowballing to overpaying the guy.
To me,
And you think, wait a minute, you think that AG wouldn't
Yeah.
have accepted $9 or $10 million to be the head coach of the New York Jets?
well, let me say
I-
this.
I-
With all
I mean,
due
I'm not-
respect, why do I give a shit when he gets paid? It's not my money.
Well, because Woody is behaving, like it matters a lot.
Well, he has an unlimited budget for whoever these head
No,
coaches
he doesn't
are.
have an unlimited budget. He's
What do you
running
mean?
that team. He and Chris
Yeah.
Johnson, they are running that team
Yeah.
for their own financial benefits, for their lifestyle, for what they own and where they go on vacation and everything like that. And
I think you're underselling how much the Jets wanted AG because
really,
obviously
can
AG
you-
got a lot of power. He was like
What
not
was
only the main overall guy, he had power over everything. That would seem to indicate that the Jets gave him the keys to the franchise for a reason, not just, hey, we've got him, he loves us, and we can pay him this. Clearly, it seems like the Jets wanted him a lot more than that, obviously.
Well, I don't know, but let me ask you something, because I know
Okay.
you'll give me an honest answer. You always do.
Okay, sure.
What was your first reaction when during the middle of the season you heard they were raising prices by 10% next year?
I thought it was a bad look, but to be honest, and this is
Doesn't
why
matter to you because you're not paying the money out.
And well, multiple things, right? Yeah. That I'm not a season ticket holder. Obviously, I'd be a lot more directly affected, I'm sure, if I was, to the ebbs and flows. You guys would get it more here on Boy Green Daily. This show, of course, talks about Jets every day, so thanks to everyone that tunes in. But it's life. There's life things that happen. If I was a season ticket holder, how would that not come up on a Jets show about my ebbs and flows of moments where I'm like, wow, the Jets are really treating me right, to, oh, wow, the Jets are treating me like crap? That would be, I would imagine, a much bigger theme on this show. So I thought it was tone deaf because the Jets are sucking, and to give a price increase seems really bad. On the other side, I don't run their business, so, I'm sure here's their gamble.
Yeah.
People are going to complain, but I bet they're still going to come, and they do. Of course they do.
Yeah,
I'm a Jets fan. I'm going to keep showing up.
They have the second most loyal fan base by number of seats they sell every year in the entire league.
Yeah, see, look at it. Hop on Pop never agrees with me, my father, but he says, Boy Green, you're spot on. What other company in the U.S. tells the owner he doesn't have the right to make decisions?
Of course he does. Well, I have the right because I wrote a book about the Jets. No, I'm not saying anybody has the right. I'm saying if he's a smart businessman, and I don't know if Woody's a smart businessman. I will tell you, I was unimpressed with the way he represented the United States as an ambassador to the UK. But I don't know if he's a smart businessman. I mean, this is the only business we've ever been exposed to him,
Besides Johnson & Johnson,
Chris
right?
Johnson seemed to have more of an ear to reality than Woody does. But Woody is the principal owner, so
sure he is.
Pop, you're right that nobody has the right to tell him, but he should have enough common sense to realize what I've been doing for the last X number of years doesn't seem to be working very well.
Well, Pop has a question for you. If you could go back in time before the AG hire, I assume knowing all the information we know now, I don't know what other thing would change. So hop on Pop. If you want to clarify that part of the question, let me know. But he says, would you do it again or hard pass hiring AG? What would you do, Bob Lederer?
I don't think that they had a lot of really good options. You never know when you're hiring a first-time coach. We've all been critical of the fact that maybe they needed, particularly Jake, we've all been critical of the fact that they should be hiring somebody, who's not a first-time coach. Now, I don't think that the former Dallas and the former Dallas coach who just got hired by Baltimore, right? It was Baltimore?
Pittsburgh you're talking about? Mike McCarthy?
Huh?
Mike McCarthy in Pittsburgh you're talking about?
Yeah, Pittsburgh. Yeah, McCarthy. I wouldn't have hired McCarthy. But
so if we go back before,
AG,
we just rewind a year
have-
ago to January 2025, would you hire him again or would you pass?
I don't know because I would have had to. I'd really have to sit down and look at the options
Sure.
of everybody else, and there are guys who wouldn't even want to come. We know there are guys that wouldn't come work for the Jets. We know it as a fact because it's been talked about openly.
And he confirms, Hop on Pop's question is, knowing everything we know now, you answer this AG question. And to me,
I guess my answer would be not necessarily. No, he wouldn't have been a slam dunk for me as the guy, that I wanted to hire. I mean, he obviously was held in pretty high esteem.
yes.
His record in Detroit as a defensive coordinator was okay. It was above average, I would say. And he had, as he's explained, because Parcells explained it to him, he had paid his dues. He had gone through all the requisite steps that one needs in order to get to the point where you're ready to be a head coach. But I mean, come on, nobody was impressed with what he did as a head coach last year.
Right. So this is, and I don't mean any offense to Hop on Pop here. So he could take offense if he wants to. This is a shitty question. And I don't mean it's a shitty question it's like shitty in principle, right? So think about it. Hey, Paul, if I told you that AG went 3-14, would you want to do it? Yeah, unless I have a glutton for punishment, I love getting kicked in the nads. No, I would. No, thank you. Hey, I have the crystal ball here. You're going to go 3-14,
and yet there are great coaches like even Parcells who struggled their first year.
Yeah. But so to me, I would do it again because committed. The things I believed in AG, I still the reasons to hire AG initially, I still believe in now, even if the results were terrible. There were a lot of fans that wanted an offensive coach, and I was intrigued by that possibility because in Woody Johnson's 26 years of ownership, he's had one offensive head coach, and by the way, only one retread. Everyone else has been a first-time defensive coach, first-time defensive coach over and over and over again, outside of Adam Gase, who's the only offensive coach in Jets history of Woody Johnson. And he's the only retread they've ever had. So, yes, I was interested in zigging after zagging forever. So if that happened, yes. But going with AG and everything that they sold and him wanting to be a Jet and him having this like unspeakable desire to turn this franchise around, yes, that plucked my heartstrings on top of everything else. But again,
and yet at the same time, our two most successful coaches in the last 25 years with defensive coaches, Rex and Parcells.
Now, in fairness,
the people they brought in with them, to run the offense. I mean, Rex brought in an offense that said, "Don't make mistakes."
Sure, right, and run the ball down people's throats and all this other stuff.
Right, and he made some really smart trades and brought in some guys who allowed them to open up the offense, and be more of a threat. So
now we don't have enough of a sample size. So you to your point, 100% true that our two most successful coaches are defensive guys. Now, 99% of them were defensive guys. So any success would have to have gone likely to the defensive guys. We've only had one offensive coach, and we all thought he was terrible when he was hired. And so our sample size of whatever that pool of candidates is, unfortunately, is small. So we'll never know. But but
if you look around the league, it's not much different around the rest of the league. I don't think, in most cases, this is not a hard rule. But in most cases, I don't think the owners are not hiring guys because they're offensive or defensive coaches. It's because of their belief, their perspective that this guy is a leader. He's a smart guy. He knows how to run an organization, and he knows how to bring in the right kind of people.
Right. I don't know that I will answer that part. We don't know if every owner drinks True Serum and goes to a mountaintop about this offense defense thing. Apparently, Arizona, for instance, is a random example. They wanted to go offense, and that's why they hired Michael.
Exactly. True.
There are examples, but I don't know if we know every time that it's this or this. Sometimes people upfront about that.
Just like there are organizations like Pittsburgh here that they wanted to hire a veteran coach. They didn't want to bring in somebody new.
Which makes sense. By the way, I see Jake Asman's in here. Thank you, Jake. He's been very active in the gifting. Appreciate that.
Congratulations, Manish.
I say it one time?
I said congratulations to Jake for bringing on Manish Mehta. You don't have to have him on every week or every month, but he did provide information that Jet fans were not aware of. I was driving around listening to it, and I stayed in my car at the end of my trip that I had to make in order to finish off and listen to that conversation, because it was very insightful. It told me stuff that obviously I had no idea about, like most of us.
I would say, and I know that Jake got into some heat with Chris Carlin on ESPN New York. Carlin called him out. And by the way, I watched that whole bit where Carlin had some concerns for Jake, and he brought Jake on the show on ESPN New York, and they were talking about, again, Chris Carlin did not like that Jake brought Manish Mehta on his program.
And I guarantee you that Chris Carlin would not have brought him on to congratulate him. Bringing him on.
Yeah, well, probably
it's not. It's the radio game. You find controversy, so that's fine.
Here's the cool thing. Jake has 44,000 subscribers. Congratulations to Jake Asman. He has a wildly successful show, and he doesn't need to hear this from me, but he can bring on whoever the hell he wants on his show. It's his show.
He said that, and he's right. Yeah,
100%. Again, I think there's a lot of extracurricular activity with Manish Mehta that, I'll just tell you guys this, folks, don't anticipate a Manish Mehta interview coming on this program at any time in the future. Just as Jake has every right to bring on any person he wants on his show, I have every right to bring on every person I want on my show. And again, was it intriguing? I did listen to it. I will be honest. When I got the alert on my phone, because I'm a subscriber to Jake, I'm a baby Asmaniacs, I'm a member of his YouTube channel. I got an alert every time he does a live video. And when I got live video, ex-Jets beat reporter Manish Mehta joined the show. I'm like, what the hell? I audibly said
first reaction too. I also get those alerts. Yep.
I was like, what? I'm like, what is this, 2016? I'm like, all right, let me tune in. And I watched the show, and, good for him. I don't know, man. I think there's some, extracurricular stuff there that would make me feel uneasy about the things that have been alleged.
If Manish contacted you and said, hey, I'd like to come on and talk about something that you were agreeable to,
I would respectfully decline.
Okay. All right, good. You're going to have to explain that to me off air, but that's fine.
Right. Yeah. I would respectfully decline. But again, Jake is allowed to bring on whoever the hell that he wants in the universe. And Carlin's allowed to have his opinion on it, where he said, hey, man, Jake, you got a big platform, and I don't know. But everyone's allowed to have their own opinion, long story short. And I appreciate that. By the way,
I think we're going to really pee off our friend Alon now that we've been together for.
That's true. Nearly an hour and a half.
1 hour and 22 minutes.
We should actually make this a new bit of how long can we go without ever going to the phone lines. And then maybe on one show, I just never go to the phone lines.
I think the phone line people have a right to go after.
Oh, right. We're talking about rights. That's a good point. By the way, Jake's gift membership went to Galatron76. So Galatron, welcome back. And thank you, Jake. That got added to your raffle ticket total. So God bless America. Is there any... Yeah, thank you. Is there anything else that you'd like to go to here before we get to the phone lines?
I think I'm all talked out.
Okay, fair enough. All right, well, grab a drink there, Bob Lederer. We're going to open up the phone lines here on the show. We have 400 people down in the room. Thank you guys so much for joining. Like the video, hit subscribe. In just a few moments, we're going to put the call-in link that will be pinned to the top of YouTube. Feel free to utilize it to call into the show, whether you're a first-time caller or a repeat offender. All are welcome here on the program. We'll play a hep timeout. We got more coming up after this.
1, 2, 3. Whoa! Bugging daily, bugging daily, bugging daily. Talking Jets football, man. Bugging daily, bugging daily, bugging daily. The New York Jets Football Club. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. Everyone, Jets, Jets. Boy Green, bugging daily, bugging daily, bugging daily. Talking Jets football, man. Boy Green, bugging daily, bugging daily, bugging daily. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. Jets. Let's go!
Let's go, everybody. Hop on Pop as a special message. It's very simple. Take that like button to Pound Town, baby. It's a free way to contribute here on the show and helps our Jet show get in front of other Jet fans out there in the universe. Let's keep growing the army, baby. 77 likes, but over 150 people in the room. Let's change that real quick. Like, also, jump on the subscriber train, baby. Toot, baby. We'd love for you to hop on over there as well. Let's keep the train rolling here. Again, the phone lines are open. That's a pinned comment on youtube.com/@BoyGreen25 if you'd like to call into the program. And we've got a lot of callers that want to get on the show. So let's go to it. First off, Philly Doodles starts us off. Philly.
Hey, Philly.
What's going on?
Oh, I didn't know we had an invite to the gun show. Whoa, what's going on here, man? Cha-choo, Big Papa Bump over here. Whoa.
Just lost a little bit of weight.
I'm intimidated, Philly.
Congratulations. Nice. Congratulations.
Well, I'm about to intimidate any Caleb Downs suggestions at number 2 in a few seconds here.
Here we go. All right, here we go.
Debbie
How about trading up for him into
from 16
higher in the first round? Seriously,
right, hold on.
Do you like him? Do you like him enough? Do you like him enough?
No, he doesn't like him at all. It sounds
well,
like.
No. I put it in there. What I said was, hopefully, for some reason, someone's so desperate and wants Simpson besides us, they come up at 2, and we then select Downs or whatever. We end up with. That's
I don't think anybody wants him at number 2.
Yeah. So this is what I'll put. So we're talking about how much money we would spend. I think $10 million per year is a good price for probably a decent safety. There's so many problems. You need to spread the money well. Even though they're going to be aggressive, that doesn't mean they're going to be aggressive at one position. Now, the draft would make us think, all right, you get 4 years at that same compensation about, and then the 5th year option is going to be high. People are saying, well, that fifth year option puts them at that same amount that a top safety would get paid. That's fine. So this is what I bring us. I don't have a board with me, but I got my computer in front of me.
Okay. Oh, do we need to go full screen?
No.
Okay.
I'll just read it verbatim.
Oh, okay.
So
Great.
Out of this list of guys I'm going to jot out, it's going to be 10. Okay. You tell me what they have in common.
All right.
Number 1, Kyle Hamilton.
Okay.
An approximate $25 million a year.
Okay.
These are the top 10 contracts.
Okay.
Number 2, Antoine Winfield, Tampa Bay, $21 million average.
Yep.
Derwin James, 19 to 19 and a half.
Okay.
Number 4, Minka Fitzpatrick, 18.2.
Okay.
Buda Baker, 18 million.
Okay.
Trayvon Moehrig, 17 mil. Xavier McKinney at 16, almost 17. Jesse Bates at 16. Javon Holland from the Giants at 15. And Cameron Bynum at 15 million. What do all those guys have in common except
I know.
one?
Oh, I know. I think I know.
They're not Jets.
Well, that's fact.
That's
number 1 fact. They're definitely not a Jet.
Okay. All right.
And
Number
what do you
2
think
fact.
the other one is?
Okay. None of those guys have won a Super Bowl with those teams that are paying them that money.
And didn't even make the playoffs, but won, Mr. Moehrig with the Panthers. So how about them apples? If you tell me Caleb Downs is going to bring you a playoff berth,
yeah,
because his position is going to be because Kyle Hamilton is probably the best safety. And he gets injured, and they miss the playoffs. We understand what had happened in that game.
Wow, big impact there. No Kyle Hamilton, no playoffs. That sounds how important he is.
Yeah, but I'm not okay with that then. If that guy falls apart, and my Lamar Jackson, 2-time MVP, can't get me there.
But he's one of the big strengths. He was one of the big strengths of Baltimore's defense.
Okay, so you're spending $25 million on that one guy.
Well, but he's on his second. Wait a minute, he's on his second contract. So if he wasn't worth that money, Baltimore would not have paid him that money.
Correct. So he had to prove it. So you're going to draft a guy at 2 who's already getting $10 million. You see where I'm getting at, right?
I think we're agreed, and I don't think anybody is going to take him at 2 unless, boy, they just love the guy to death, and they have all the cap space in the world, which. So a team like that would take him at number 2 would not have. So anyway,
I would love for Woody to meddle if they selected him at 2 and walk in and hand Glenn his walking papers in the moment. Here you go, you're fired. Get the fuck out.
In the middle of the draft, in the middle of
the war room, get out.
Lord.
Like look at Moogie. Be like, who said it? Who said to do it? Was it you or him? Moogie's gonna be like, he's gonna like step backwards, like those moments where someone steps off the screen. He's gonna be like that guy.
What did you think? What did you think of the argument that Paul and I just had about what role Woody should play in making decisions about coach personnel, I guess, in particular.
All right. Well, before
Listen.
you answer that, Philly, I just want to know. So if Caleb Downs is the number 2 overall pick, is he the one prospect that gets taken that spot that would make you the angriest?
No, Simpson would be. And then
Okay.
him probably number 2. Only because you know the game-wrecking ability from the other 2 gentlemen that are available there.
What do you mean?
Meaning
you know?
Bailey and what's his face?
Arvell Reese. But yeah, but
Reese.
what do you
No,
mean
not
you
Reese,
know?
the other guy.
Oh,
really?
Ruben Bain.
Ruben Bay.
Really?
Okay, but
You
what do you
know
mean
them
that,
two.
What?
What
do you mean you know?
Ro- Huh?
Well, I'm saying, like, so you say you know with those guys the disruptive ability. Do you know there's pass rusher busts all the time? What do you mean you know?
Nah, you could tell with those 2 gentlemen. Like those 2 guys are game-wrecking machines. Not to say Caleb Downs is not an every down safety. He'll be that guy. I would assume. So, like, what was Jamal Adams? We picked Jamal Adams at
6th
what?
overall. 6th
Sixth.
overall.
Okay, and we went to the playoffs with him what, once, twice?
None. Once.
Okay. So I'm sorry to do that. It's just you don't do that. It's just a no. Every franchise knows it. You will be okay selecting one later down. Nikhil McWarren, I forget how to pronounce his total name. MW, whatever the heck his name is.
It's Emmanuel McNeil Warren.
So he reminds me of Seattle waiting, grabbing a safety at some point, and they turn out to be okay. They're good players. You can win championships, playoffs, games with guys that you select in the middle of the round of safety. It's just, if they were to do that, I am telling you, it is not going to go off right. It's just not going to sit well with everybody. We're all going to clamor about how it was a bad idea. I don't even care if he pans out after 6 years. Stop it. You know what I mean? Why would you have drafted the other kid then? Just bring in a veteran, load up on some veterans in certain positions that you know they need to help out. You number 2 is got to be a game-wrecking position or a franchise quarterback. I mean, that's just period, end of story.
You're right.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you,
I
I remember the Jets getting criticized when they took Jamal Adams at 6.
6, yeah.
And
wait,
yeah,
but what about this? What? Okay, so you say that draft is Indy. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, what about this? Okay, the highest drafted safety in NFL history is Eric Berry. Sean Taylor also went 5th overall, but Eric Berry is the most recent example. He went 5th overall to the Kansas City Chiefs. Do you know how many times the Chiefs went to the playoffs after they drafted 5th overall Kansas City Chief Eric Berry? Let's go through the list. Playoffs in 2013, playoffs in 2015, playoffs in 2016, playoffs in 2017, playoffs in 2018. Then went to the playoffs 5 times with Eric Berry being the 5th overall pick. So
what was their record before they got him? That's all I want to know.
So what was your record before they drafted Eric Berry? Is your question?
Eric Berry. And who was on the team? As an important.
So he was drafted in 2010 as the 5th overall pick. Here were the Chiefs' record the previous 3 seasons: 4-12, 2-14, 4-12. They draft him. They immediately go to the playoffs and they win the division.
So you're going to raise me Eric Berry, and you said 2010. You said 2010.
Yeah, that's recent.
I guarantee you,
He's
Eric
the highest drafted safety
Who's the
in
quarterback?
NFL history.
Trent Green. Who's the quarterback? Trent Green.
Oh, come on!
I guarantee you,
Alex
Eric Berry
Smith.
was not the only player they brought in.
But no, let's not talk about first of all. Alex Smith is a good quarterback. We don't even have a good quarterback. No. This is another Jamal Adams.
You highlighted a point, and I
highlighted
Jamal Adams
Joe
went 6th
Douglas.
overall, and I
Look at how
highlighted
much Joe Douglas got from Seattle for Jamal Adams.
He got a hole.
How valued he was for what he could do from the safety position. So it all depends on circumstances and needs and such. And what you're both really telling, I think, us is it's the structure of the defense that he's playing within. And Caleb Downs may be a guy who's adaptable to anything that you put out there, but you're right, Philly, that there are other guys that you could slot in to that same position who are not as good as Caleb Downs, but can do more than an adequate job, maybe even a great job. in that position because of the structure of the defense.
It's
What
true.
I love
And
to hear
BG,
is
I
that
love your
Field.
point.
What I love to hear is Field Yates on again. He's doing a million draft shows. He said the player that he feels the most confident about that is not a bust at the NFL level of these rookies that are about to enter the NFL is Caleb Downs. He says, I feel so good that he's at least going to be a star and has a chance to be a superstar. I hear that. And with all our Jets draft busts and at a clear position of need where our roster sucks at specifically the safety position, that makes me feel pretty good that we're getting a guy who is the anti-bust based on the studying of one former NFL scout, Field Yates. I don't know. That sounds pretty captivating to me.
So fine. Okay, BG. Let's say we go your route. Let's say we go the route of the possibly. So if we're going to say top 5 players in the draft for best available, he's probably like 1, 2, or 3, right? Period. End of story. That's fine.
Yeah, and on a few people's boards, that is correct.
Yeah. So let's just say they do. What do you do at 16?
So here's what I would do. I told this on the Jake Asman show that cross-streamed over here. It's actually not taking Caleb at 2, but it's still getting Caleb. My plan, I told Jake, he said, what's your dream path? I'm taking Arvell Reese, although you can make an argument for David Bailey or Ruben Bain if you prefer. But I'd go Arvell Reese, you take him at 2. I'd move up from 16. Let's trade with the Kansas City Chiefs, and I would do this trade tomorrow. I'm tagging and trading Brees. I'm grabbing Brees in the 16th overall pick, and I want the Chiefs' 9th overall pick. And again, this is a trade I do tomorrow. I don't do it on draft day. I do it in advance. And I do it right now.
Yeah.
And I say, here's what you'll do. You give me 9th overall. And at 9th overall, I'm either getting Caleb Downs, I'm getting any of the top 3 wide receivers, I'm getting Jeremiah Love to replace Brees Hall that I just traded. That's what I'm doing. And hold up, let him cook. That's what I would do with the 2nd and moving up to the 9th overall pick.
Bob, I don't think that's a terrible idea. Will it happen? I don't think it happens.
I don't know. That sounds like a lot. Sounds like a lot to give up. But if you love Jeremiah Love, I mean, my concern is getting
Bob,
somebody.
you can just say this. I'm a genius.
Now, in the spirit of being a New Yorker, I'm trying not to concede my stance still. So I am.
You just don't want to give Paul the credit that he's.
No. You deserve that. That was a pretty. Listen, that's a cool ass take. If you could do that, you do it. I mean, that's a great idea. But still, to point is that, all these top 10 guys getting paid all this money, it doesn't allocate you to win anything at all. So whether the amount of money, that's what I'm saying, the amount of money allocated to that,
really, they're so far away.
Yeah, exactly.
From even getting over 500, they have so many spots they have to fill. I think you just have to do your best to bring in as many, not even just competent people, but guys who have star potential, standout potential. And then you go and get all the competence that you can get because they got so many guys that just can't play at all.
But why Arvell Reese in your scenario and not one of the other guys?
I don't know. I keep looking for in that position. I keep looking, for the next Lawrence Taylor, and hoping they can come up with somebody, who just is a terror that just you can't block. I'm sure there's somebody out there. One of these years, somebody's going to be in that position, and you'll watch on the NFL today. They'll say, "Oh, this guy's the next Lawrence Taylor. Look at what this guy can do." That's what I'm hoping Arvell Reese is going to be.
Yeah, so from what I've heard, so again, we just talked about Caleb, where he's a player in theory that has a super high floor at a clear position of need. And if you just get all floor players, you probably never win the Super Bowl. If you get all ceiling players, you probably never win the Super Bowl because some of them are going to bust, some of them are going to hit. So you have to be calculated with the players you're willing to take the risks on. And that is in the case of Arvell Reese here, that a David Bailey or something apparently has this incredibly high pass rushing floor that from day one, they're this. And that would be attractive because, again, the Jets were 31st in sack production last year. That would help. But from what they say about Arvell Reese is that in the long term, he has a chance to be really special. Well, I'm not drafting for 2026. And I think that's one of the most common misconceptions in the draft is they say, caveman, I've got need at left tackle. I need left tackle for 2026. It's such a caveman thing. The draft, I'm not drafting a guy for just 1 year. I'm drafting him for the next 5 years, hopefully the next 10 years. So you have to have that forethought as you're doing roster construction to think of that way. So what people say about Arvell Reese is, I don't know if he immediately, compared to David Bailey as a random example, let's put one guy next to him. I don't know if he does more in 2026 than the other player, but long term, I've heard these Micah Parsons and other comparisons. I hear that, and his ability to rush, his ability to be off-ball linebacker, and the fact that the Jets need both of those things, and you need a creative play caller. That's true, and we can all debate whether or not you guys think that AG is that. That's the thing to me is that if you don't think AG is going to work out, Arvell Reese isn't getting hit by a bus. He's still going to be here in 2027. So the next coaching staff that comes in if AG is destined to fail, is going to have this piece. So I'm swinging for the fences on Arvell Reese trades upside, and it seems like he's the consensus best player on the board.
And yet we still don't know what kind of a defense that AG wants to run.
And we may not know next week when he speaks to the media. He may choose to withhold.
And that's going to have a big bearing on who they pick.
Sure.
Well, all right, gentlemen, that was a good debate. I still think it's too rich for.
We win, you lose.
Yeah, that's it.
But BJ, I love your idea.
All right,
and Bob, love the rhetoric. Let's go, guys.
Okay, beautiful. There you go. Philly noodles.
Have a good weekend, Philly. By the way, I don't know if Bobby Jr. is listening today, but I loved your discussion the other day about Michael Pittman. Maybe Indianapolis maybe being forced to let him go.
Quick backpedal just to make sure I heard you correctly. You said you loved it or Bobby Jr. loved it? Or both?
I haven't talked to him about it, but I'd love to hear what he does.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, we have a little mini video up. So Bobby Jr., if you're out there in the audience.
I have sent him the link. So he.
Oh, great. It's like a 3-minute video or something. So it's very quick.
If he's being a good, dutiful son this morning, hopefully he's been watching a dear old dad.
Obviously.
Pontificating.
So feel free to check it out. We may end up expanding that to one of these Boy Green Dailies. We have not talked about it there, but it's an idea I like a lot. So feel free to check it out, folks, in the audience. All right, back to the phone lines. Bob, it's probably better if you do this. My voice isn't quite what it used to be.
Sitting in for Johnny today, here's Hep.
Oh, hey, fellas. I don't hear Bob too well. His volume is way down. I don't know. Maybe that's just my thing. You're fine.
You're better off.
So how's everybody doing? Okay.
Yeah, I'm doing great.
You're better off if you don't hear me.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm thinking about Drew Aller in the later rounds. I mean, I like his size, 6'5". He has some issues, but if we're just going to be sitting the guy for a year anyway, let's get some big body in here. He has an upside. He's got a cannon for an arm. He probably has the strongest arm in the draft. Do you know anything about him, Paul and Bob? And what do you think as far as where we could get him?
Yeah, so Drew Aller is a very talented guy. He seems to fit everything you just said in terms of Frank Reich with his size. He suffered a broken ankle. I'm going to have to double check date. It was early in the season, so I'm going to have to see what recovery timeline is, because obviously and again, this is one place I'm speaking out of naiveness. I have no idea. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know if he was on the NFL Combine list for next week, but if he is, obviously that would be a huge moment for him to show that he's healthy. He may have to wait for his pro day based on the recovery timeline.
Well,
again, not a doctor here on the show.
And there are these teams that have the philosophy you always draft a quarterback. I guess Green Bay likes to do that, and Kansas City likes to do that. Question is, will he even be around in the 5th round or that sort of thing? Because the 5th round is where we're supposed to get some bonus draft choices, so that would also make it an easier thing to do.
Well, he was invited to the Combine, so I just found that information out. So I would assume they would have only invited him if he could. There is no draft grade on him. I have the NFL Combine profile up of what they expect him to do. I think that's really because they want to see what the hell he potentially does.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't play the whole year. So, yeah. I mean, how can you make a judgment when you haven't seen him in over 12 months?
But let's put it this way. Some people thought he could be a number 1 overall pick kind of prospect, and he still has the traits. He still has the size and some of those things. Now, I saw some red flags in games that I saw him play, like against Notre Dame in the college football playoff, not this past season, the year prior, when Notre Dame was making that run, and he makes some very questionable decisions. But the cool thing is that you get what you pay for here. Drew Aller is not going to be a first-round pick. He's not going to be a second-round pick. He's not going to be a third-round pick. This is going to be a guy that goes on day 3. And if you're the Jets and you are set to have somewhere in the ballpark of 11 picks, we'll have that official here shortly when the comp picks come in. You're telling me you wouldn't throw a dart throw on day 3 at him? If it works out, you just found your franchise quarterback. If it doesn't, all right, who cares? It was a random day 3 pick.
Maybe you found your long-term number 2 quarterback. Who knows?
100%, which, by the way, is super valuable. People don't talk enough about that. So I like Drew Aller a lot, Hep. I want to see him healthy. I want to see him, hopefully, at the combine throwing the ball around the barnyard there. That would excite me greatly. So he should definitely be on the list of Jet quarterbacks to sort of watch potentially for the draft.
Thanks, fellas. Peace out.
Appreciate it.
Have a great weekend.
All right, there he is. Hef or Hep, depending on your perspective. We have nearly 400 people in the room. Keep the likes coming, everybody, and make sure you guys hit that subscribe button as well. Let's keep growing. We're only a handful of subscribers away from 8,400, which is absolutely nuts. But thank you guys to all the support. I pinch myself every day that I get to do this. All right, let's go to a fellow Jets content creator. He was having a show last night. He's killing the game, no doubt about it. And Nick Ferry is going to be joining his program in the near future. Jets insider, beat reporter extraordinaire. Hell, I'm going to be joining that show here in the very near future. Ricky New York Live is with us on the program.
Hey, how you guys doing this morning?
Okay, swell. Thank you.
Good morning, Ricky.
So I was listening to Philly Noodle's call, okay, and Caleb Downs is the unquestioned top safety in this class.
Correct, yep.
And last year we had Malachi Starks was the unquestioned top safety in that class. This year, Downs is like this year's Malachi Starks, but I'm telling you right now, McNeil Warren is this year's Nick Eamon-Worry. He's the guy that's going to go second, and people are going to wish that they had pulled the trigger on him sooner. I could see us, using that 33rd pick on a guy like that, and I would absolutely love it. I think that he's going to end up being one of the steals of this draft for somebody.
I think you're onto something. And it's funny on Nick Eamon-Worry, right? He was a combine warrior, and a lot of people said, combine guy. Like, he just blew up the combine. He's going to suck. And he went later than he should have, and they just won the Super Bowl. So DK Metcalf, actually, speaking of Seahawks, he's another one, blew up the combine, and then he still fell to the second round. So, like, I think there is just this fine line here of not overthinking the process here, and maybe Caleb's going to be that guy. And again, I just want good football players. So I think really when we bring up cap stuff, I think we're squabbling about, this guy would represent 1.5% of the cap as opposed to 2.2% of the cap. Like, at some point, with all due respect, shove the nerd in the locker and let's just make decisions here of adding great football players to the team. And I don't know, when you see Caleb Downs, I see an awesome football player, and I look at our safety room and go, yikes. And I feel like Caleb Downs would be able to help.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm just saying for where we're picking, there are other options that are also really good, and we do have a lot of holes to fill. But the thing is, between this year and next year, that's 9 top 50 picks, being reasonable about it. That's a lot. You can add a lot of top-notch talent like that if you get those picks right. So I think they're actually in a really good position, and free agency is going to tell us a lot. So
Ricky, what do you think about waiting for the QB till next year?
That's what I would do. Like, I see him bringing in like some kind of veteran and then like a day 3 guy, be it Sawyer Robertson, Taylon Green, so somebody like that probably. And
another veteran to back up the veteran.
Yeah. And then shoot, next they can get their quarterback and they can put the final pieces in place around them. And yeah, I mean, I'm fairly optimistic right now. I think that they've taken some good steps with the coaching staff as far as, correcting the mistakes they made the first time around. I think linebackers coach Ben Bowling that we got from the Texans is a really underrated hire that's going to turn out to be good for us. Yeah, man, I'm optimistic. I can't wait to see, both free agency and the picks and see all the pieces fall into place.
And Ricky, did you have any opinion about the conversation Paul and I had about the role that Woody can or should play?
You know what? He should probably remove himself as much from the process as he can, preferably. When I met him, he basically, and I actually asked him about that because people had literally been talking that morning about him meddling, and we met him at a tailgate that he came to, and he kind of laughed about it, and he was like, I wish I knew enough to meddle the way people say. And he was like, I just hired the best football people that I can, and I let them run it. And you know what? He's not a good public speaker. He's very socially awkward, and but at the same time, like, you can tell that he really does want this team to win. And hell, when he first bought the team, I mean, we went to the playoffs 6 times in 10 years, and since then, none. But we started off hot with him as an owner. It can be done. It's not impossible.
Yeah, but my thought about him when he started is he had Parcells there and he let Parcells walk away. And that I couldn't understand that for any, unless he was completely bereft of any football knowledge at all of what was going on in the NFL. That was a really bad first step.
Well, yeah, Herm Edwards had a fair amount of success here too. And so, you know what? Herm Edwards, former DB, Aaron Glenn, former DB, maybe we can catch some of that old magic again. I'm optimistic. I think we can finally kind of purge ourselves of a lot of the solid leftovers and bring in some fresh blood and really kind of hit reset on this thing. So, I'm not expecting huge results, but if they win, 6 games, 7 games, and they at least look competitive, and you can tell that they're starting to turn that corner, then the next year we actually get that quarterback and put the final pieces in place. Yeah, man. I mean,
so Paul, I don't have it right in front of me. Paul, if they win 6 games, where would their draft position be?
Oh, like comparatively to what the draft order is?
Who won 6 games this year, and where are they drafting?
Yeah, that would put the Jets inside the top 10.
Probably like 8, right?
Right. Yeah. I have the standings in front of me here. Again, obviously, there are some split, whatever the word is. There's some teams that are tied for 6.
Oh, right.
But here they are, because we have 2 teams that have 6 wins. It's the Bengals and the Chiefs, and they're picking 8 and 9, or 9 and 10 respectively.
So we'd have to trade up to get a quarterback.
Well, it depends, right? We have the
maybe
Packers
not
pick.
necessarily.
We have the Cowboys pick. We have the Colts pick of the best of the Packers Cowboys. Excuse me. So you
Go
don't
Colts.
know. Yeah.
Just for kicks this morning, I got on the mock draft simulator thing, and I actually pulled up a 2027 draft. And when you look at the list of quarterbacks, like they had Arch, Dante Moore,
sure,
Jaden Mayava, Darian Mensah, Lenora Sellers, John Mateer. The list was friggin' huge. And I'm like, oh my goodness, there are almost too many quarterbacks coming out next year. I don't think there's that many quarterback needy teams. So yeah, but if
you're the Jets, you just got to get it right. When there's that many, you got to make sure you pick the right one if you're in a position to do so, because that would be the disaster. And this draft seemingly overflowing with quarterback options 2027. Let's say you pick 3rd, and then you have a couple of them on the board to you. Your scouting department better get it right. Pick the right guy in this rich situation.
Yep.
Well, that's when you take the number 4 overall pick that we get from the Colts, and you get your Jeremiah Smith there, and then you get Darian Mensah with your own pick, and then later in the first round we got that Dallas one, and we can take your guy from Notre Dame, Leonard Moore, the cornerback, and get our next Revis Island, and put the final pieces in place to make a run with this thing. How's that?
Hey, sign me up. Again, Ricky, I know we're both excited about the same thing, this roster construction. All this speculation, then, wow, the Jets have signed this free agent. We start to see the plan. We start to see the vision. Oh, okay. Oh, wow, they just paid a lot of money for this off-ball linebacker. Wow, they just paid a lot of money for this pass rusher. Oh, they just brought in this wide receiver in. Oh, wow, that means setting up for the draft to do this and this and this. Everything is going to start coming into focus here over the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely. I'm really looking forward to free agency, because then the picture comes, even more clear. Like if we get a Romeo Dobbs, then we know we don't have to worry about drafting a receiver, and we can focus on loading up the defense. If we were to add a Linderbaum, then we don't have to worry about a center.
Right? Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm real excited for free agency. I want to see who they bring in here, and like I said, it'll give us a better idea for the draft. So can't wait, man. I'm looking forward to getting that new blood in here.
Let's go. I appreciate it, Ricky. Thank you so much for the call,
Good
pal.
weekend, Ricky.
Yeah, I saw we got a couple of super chats in here. So sorry I didn't get this while Philly was on here, Fastest Food Reviews, but here we go, super chat.
Wow.
Philly wanted Daniel Jones as our QB1. Hard pass on Caleb Downs. So, wow, he is in alignment with Philly on the Downs passing. Although, who knows? I think Daniel Jones is going to go back to Indianapolis. That's what my gut says. Do you think so too, there, Bob?
I don't see any reason why he would leave. He had a great first half of last year until he was injured.
Yeah, I think so. I think the Colts will tag Alec Pierce, though.
It's going to be tougher for him if he doesn't have all the receivers that he had this past year.
That's for sure. Will they be able to keep them all? We'll see. Yep. Chef Kevin Gilbert, appreciate that. Again, some people are for down, some people are against it. It's okay. All opinions are welcome here on the show. Let's get a member super chat here.
Wow.
NY Jets fandom member for 19 months. Thank you so much for being so loyal to the Boy Green Coffee Club. How does Downs compare to Jamal coming out? Who was better? Caleb Downs is considered the better overall prospect, but really we're talking about different types. Jamal Adams, and you're seeing it even now that he's converted to linebacker. That's sort of what he was. He was a guy that played
much more physical. Yeah,
sure. Played near the line of scrimmage, physical, thumper. Again, was better in a linebacker front seven role. Caleb Downs has no problems from everything we're hearing from draft experts of being a ball hawk on the back end of the defense. And that should titillate Jet fans because, again, this is what we're going to do because we're Jet fans. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. It just is what it is. If the Jets draft Arvell Reese, there are going to be some Jet fans who go, Vernon Golston. When the Jets take a safety in the top 10, they're going to go, Jamal Adams. If we take Drew Aller, the Penn State kid, Christian Hackenberg. That's not fair. All these things are all different players, shapes, and sizes, but we're going to do that, aren't we? I already know. That's what we're going to do. We're going to think of the worst possible case scenario when something happens, people.
Yeah, but Caleb Downs is also supposedly has superior tackling ability.
Well, yes, all that should help too. But people, again, are going to be thinking in those ways to it as well. And shout out, by the way, to Imamji. She just subscribed to Ricky New York Live, his YouTube channel. So thank you so much for that here on the channel. Appreciate that. So thank you, Imamji, for supporting. I love when we can support fellow Jets content creators out there in the universe. That's a beautiful thing to do. There's plenty of great people out there that are doing great work. Speaking of that, let's bring one of those in. Johnny Boy's up next here on the program. The half of the Jets worldwide team. Wide.
Good morning, Bob. Good morning.
Good morning, Johnny Boy. How are you?
Yeah,
we're really well, thank you.
Still getting better, or do you have any remnants?
Every day, man, and
good.
Take it one day, So, but everything's going well. Dude, I love the convo today. BG, you pretty much you just took everything that I wanted to say.
Oh, sorry.
Because it's the truth, like, dude, and Ricky too. Shout out to Ricky because Ricky killed it, man.
You disagree with everything I've said today?
Yeah.
No, because I feel like you could go either way. If I'm being honest with you, we don't know. I mean, peep this out. What if they go into free agency, they pick up Walker, they pick up the kid Bush, they pick up, and these are linebackers at this point right now.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. I don't know, man. And it's Alex Anzalone. Do you think that instantly boosts up the linebacking room?
I do.
Right then and there. All right. So you did that. Then on the interior defensive line, because we want to run stuff for him, we want a big fatty in there to potentially put him next to Briggs or to Phillips or whatever. The whole conversation is DJ Reader is supposedly going to come over here with us with the ties that he has with Glenn. The guy that's over there from the Patriots, that's a free agency. There's a lot is what I'm trying to say. You do those type of players, you put them in. Does that boost up your line? Potentially.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need to take the approach that the Patriots did last year, which is getting a good number of high quality players, not necessarily the best guys, except for Linderbaum. If you can get Linderbaum, that's obviously going to be very, very costly. But
and that's they do those positions. They fill those positions of need because everybody's like, say as everybody's defense. Then you got a player insert Caleb Downs. There's a conversation to be talked about because that's the one position that you want to make sure is solid. And everybody's talking. There's a lot of people that have Caleb Downs as like the best player coming out of the draft this year. It's like they're number one.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think it's a crazy to get them at number two? Yes, but I'm not the New York Jets, right? Like New York Jets, if that's what they feel like is the missing piece for that defense to be there, so they don't have to worry about it for few years to come with Malachi Moore paired up there together, why not? I mean, I'm probably on team like get Blankenship, right? Get that type of player in there. Get maybe I didn't know that even that Kobe Bryant kid is going to be out there. All these dudes are just young.
Kobe.
Right? But everybody says, but at the first top picks, you got to get a quarterback, blah, blah, blah. Bro, what if the New York Jets say, you know what? We're going to get Ty Simpson because we're needing that, and it's a need. Dude, we're all going to lose. Like, most people are going to lose our ish on it. But then you're going to have to battle the thing. But, at number two, quarterbacks is typically, go that high and all these conversations. I say all of this is because it's such an unknown right now, man. Like, it really is. Like, it's cool to talk about everything that, the what ifs, if we get this, if we get that, or for this. But until free agency comes up, right, everything's speculation right now. And BG, you hit on it. Bro, we are going to go nuts, whatever pick we do, right? If we go and say, hey, let's trade back, right? People are going to flip out and be like, why did you trade back? You lost the potential of having Bain or Bailey or this play or that play, and I understand it because at the end of the day, this organization has been losing for the past 10 years. We're at, 15 years, no playoffs and everything. So right now, a lot of the fan base just don't have any faith on what's going on. And I get it. I do. I like what I'm seeing with AG. I like what they're trying to build up, so it's just such a, roll of the dice on any of these. Because what if out of, let's say Mendoza and Ty Simpson ends up being the better quarterback out of everybody that comes out this year. Later down the road, we're going to be like, damn, we should have got Ty Simpson, man. Ty Simpson was that guy. Which I don't think that's going to happen, but it's a possibility. So again, you guys took like everything that I wanted to talk about, right?
Sorry,
so
man.
Really don't have anything, but there's a lot of players that are coming out of free agency that will not cost a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying, Bob, that you could essentially put there, and you're gonna fix a lot of the holes that we have in there.
Well, I think you hit on an important point, which is the free agency period and who they're able to sign up, particularly for the defense, makes it even possible or smart to go get a Caleb Downs if he's the last line of defense that they need to fill. So if they sign a couple of linebackers and they're able to get, at least one pass rusher, then Caleb Downs becomes more worthwhile and a smart move because you have a gaping hole there.
Yeah.
But if they don't fill those other spots, and again, I think they probably will, then a Caleb Downs doesn't make sense except down the road in the draft. And as far as the quarterback goes, I'm not one of those guys who gets really excited about watching Simpson, this coming week or even in his pro day, because I want to see him play. And there's all the tape in the world, at least from this year, as to how well he can play, against competition. The underwear Olympics doesn't impress me for a quarterback. And we saw with Zach Wilson, because he could throw the ball 95 yards down the field. In the end, it meant nothing, which was, frankly, to my credit, I had no belief in Zach Wilson because I didn't think he ever played against any competition.
Oh,
agreed. I mean, I wanted to ask you this, Bob. First of all, I always appreciate you coming on Friday, and I always love the insight that you give. With this upcoming draft, right, and upcoming free agency, are you looking for us to go more offense heavy, right, or defense heavy? And if that's the case, what's the reasoning behind that, Bob?
I think they're much weaker defensively, and it's a defensive draft, so that works for them. And they need a wide receiver. And I don't know if they're going to – and, even if they sign a wide receiver in free agency, I would still go get a wide receiver, in the draft. So I prefer they go defense heavy because you can't have, enough good defensive players, especially after what we saw the last 2 years. It's not a pretty picture when you look at who they start and who they bring in, especially on the defensive line where they like to rotate people.
So let me ask you this then. So if this draft is essentially defense heavy, right?
Yep.
Then the offense is not that good of players that are coming out. Would you want to get the best offensive players with our top picks and then get kind of like what Ricky was saying, you could get that safety if you really want a safety in the draft, but he would be a lot later and he could potentially be the Nick Manowari. I can never pronounce the dude's name.
They're really in a position for best player available.
Exactly.
But I would go number one. The number 2 pick I would go with the defensive player. And if the wide receiver, the kid from USC is there with 16, everybody is pretty positive about him, even though he's not a speed merchant, because they need a number 2 guy. Now, even if they draft, even if they sign a free agent, well, maybe that makes it less of a priority because they've got Mechie and they've got Mitchell. It depends what they think about those guys. Did they show enough? Mechie seemed to be really interesting until the last couple of games of the season where he just was kind of ordinary. And Mitchell still has to learn how to catch the ball.
100%.
So, somebody said, he's a number 5. I don't think Mitchell's a number 5, but he's not a number 2.
I mean, there's quarterbacks out there that I do like. I mean, I like Drew Allar, if I'm being honest with you, right?
Yeah, but when would you draft?
I don't, after, for me, man, I'm probably one of the dudes that's after round 4 and 5, I don't really care what the Jets do at that point.
Yeah, I mean, he might not be there. Other people might say, hey, we can take a flyer on this guy, like Green Bay. Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're going to lose their backup quarterback, chances are. We can take a flyer on this guy. He's got all the tools, and let's see what we can do. And they might draft him in the late 3rd round or the 4th round.
100%. I think I'm on team offense. I want to see this team score. I want to score points, and then I think you could insert a quarterback.
So who do you want a quarterback?
Dude, I would love if first off, I don't want to trade for a quarterback, so I'm gonna put that out there. if Murray was to get cut and they end up cutting him and he's there, why not? Right? I mean, he instantly goes to be probably the best and most talented quarterback that will be out there. I would still go ahead and if Will Levis, right, is another one.
Really?
Levis is, if he shakes out, right?
He's likely going to have to get traded, though, which would go against your first rule there, Johnny, of not wanting to do any
they're
trades.
talking about cutting him. He might.
Oh, okay, I missed that then.
And
Okay.
I don't know if Arizona could afford the cap hit they would have if they just cut.
Well, they could. Russell Wilson, right? The Broncos found a way to eat it. You know, other teams have found ways to eat it.
But they got a rookie head coach, and that cap hit. I was reading yesterday about what happened with Kansas City and how they reworked the quarterback contract there.
Patrick Mahomes,
that gave them an extra $40 million in cap space.
Yeah. And they still were at like negative 60 million. So they still have more moves to make. They're still not even out of the clear by doing that.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't think Arizona is willing. I don't know if they're willing to take that kind of hit. I don't know.
Yeah. And what I'm trying to say is, look, at that point, I think you still need to get a quarterback in this draft. I think you should get a quarterback every single year until you hit, right? I mean, you still need a backup. You still need this. There's a lot of things. Right now, our quarterback room is what? Hooker, Zappy, and Justin Fields.
Well, Hooker's a free agent, so Hooker is not even under contract. So the only ones that are under contract are Justin Fields, Bailey Zappi, and Brady Cook at this point.
Would you guys take a shot at what's his name? Tommy DeVito as a backup there, right?
Yeah, as the backup to the veteran, yeah.
Here it is. Here's the autograph football of when Tommy DeVito.
Did Tommy sign a multi-year with New England? Or I think
there he is. I'll double check his contract in a second. There it is. There's Tommy DeVito's autograph. TD # 13. Good to see you, Tommy. It sits on my desk.
It's just throwing names out there because if I'm being honest with you, man, a lot of the quarterbacks that I'm saying are going to instantly be a lot better than what we have right now. Cousins would be the one that I would like. Right, just a solid veteran to be able to.
Yeah, well, he's now he is going to be a free agent.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy DeVito will be a restricted free agent this offseason. So again, what they'll have to decide is, because it always gets interesting, he was an undrafted free agent. He did not get drafted. So if they go original round tender, they don't get a pick back for losing him. So it'll be interesting to see what tender they decide to place on him, if at all. So he could be available. Tommy could be, yes.
But with that being said, guys, I really enjoy you guys being on here, man. Again, it's such a roll of the dice right now. We really don't know until free agency comes along, because until then, it is what it is, right? I mean, it's fun to speculate on what they're going to try to do.
This is really such a treat, because I can tell you, going way back, that the dearth of ability for fans to talk to each other during this time.
We're in a great time. 100%.
When I was your age, it wasn't there.
Yeah, there's no content creator, so let's enjoy it.
And I'm sure that Paul hears it all the time, because Jake talks about it as well. People from other towns say, "What do you guys talk about?"
100%. I get when someone just I had to just go. Here's the story. I just had to go get our internet changed, right? So I go to this place in town. I've never been there. I've lived in this town like 18 years. I've never gone to this place in my life. I walk in. We're going through the whole internet thing. Then this guy just says, "So what do you do, man?" And I'm like, "Well, I podcast. I do some Jets writing." It would podcast, huh? You some big YouTube guy or something? I'm like, nah, I don't know about that, but I do a show every day about the Jets. He's like, wait a second, every day about the Jets? He said, what the hell do you talk about every day? I'm like, I don't know. Tune in, man. You'll figure it out. I don't know. To me, and people don't believe this, but this is true. People say, like, wow, you must really struggle to make shit up to talk about every day. And I'm like, I don't know. For me, every day of doing a show, I feel very good about the thing I'm talking about. I don't feel like I'm stretching. I don't feel like I'm like, oh, no content today. Let me make something up. I feel to be honest, I feel the opposite. I'm like, oh my God, I've got 20 things to talk about here, but I have to headline the show with one thing. I feel like every day I'm picking from like 20, 25 options.
Yeah, the strength of this show is your knowledge and the knowledge that the fans have.
Of course.
About what's swirling around.
Right.
You know, the Jets.
Speculation, news, this, that. Again,
And I
for
mean,
instance,
here in Chicago, there's nobody that does anything like this. But on the couple of all sports talk radio shows, half of the talk during the day is about the Bears.
Yeah, and
even in the off season, yeah.
Someone just sent me a message, right? There's this great article for The Athletic, and I think it's Dan Pompei, but if that's not the writer, I apologize because I didn't get a chance to go through it because I'm doing the show right now. But there was a deep dive on Frank Reich about being the Jets offensive coordinator, about like maybe going into retirement or doing this. And oh my God, that's got to be the show tomorrow. I just saw a few clips. I'm like, oh my goodness. Frank Reich had this great quote about how he's going to utilize Garrett Wilson next year. Jet fans, rev your engine when you read what his plan is to unlock him. I was like, holy blank. I'm like, all right, that fires me up.
And I saw a column this morning about, the Eagles coach talking about Frank Reich as an assistant and all the strengths he brings to the Jets.
See, there you go. So again,
Jim Kelly came out and was talking out of nowhere. Jim Kelly.
The podcast. So I've not heard this yet. So shout out to EA on the Official Jets podcast. He had Jim Kelly on and someone else. That's Doug Peterson. Both of them have relationships with Frank Reich. And apparently
Doug Peterson talked about Frank.
Yeah. And I have not heard the podcast yet, but I've heard people say, dude, you got to do it. And here's the problem. I've got freaking 2 kids. I want to listen to everything. I want to read everything. I want to listen to everything. The combine's coming next week. That's like 160 hours of content that I got to fit in with all the other crap. So I don't know where it's fitting in, but I want to keep, and that's the other thing that sort of intrigues me every day is I want to get smarter. I want to learn more information and then hopefully spread some of that here, obviously, on the show. So
PG and Bob is my last thing, and I'm out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I always like throwing some crazy crap out there just to have fun with it.
Yeah.
So shout out to Lou B, right? Lou B was talking about that too. What if we say, you know what, we are going to tag Breece Hall, okay? They still get Lou B. You got your third in Braylon Allen and Davis. Look, Davis, I'm sorry, right? Because you potentially could have what you had in Detroit with the 2-headed monsters. Would you do it? How would that look? Would the entire fan base go crazy because of that? But I think it's fun. You're just adding more weapons, right? And then at 16, you get Lemon if he's there. So just some thoughts. I wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Thanks,
I missed you a little bit. Who replaces Hall in your scenario?
Nobody.
Nobody.
I
don't like the idea.
We still extend Hall. You get Love back there. You get to see what
Well, yeah, if you get Jeremiah Love, that maybe. But again, maybe you're drafting too high for a running back since everybody thinks running backs are not a dime a dozen, but there's plenty of guys out there that you can.
I just want players that are going to play, just like what BG said. Get those guys that are going to be in there. Get those really good players that, it means something, that don't have that stench of the 10 years of losing with the New York Jets and whatever in the past. So, BG, love to
hear you, Johnny.
Your thoughts on that, man. Can't wait to have
you. Boy, have yourself a great weekend.
Yeah, there you go. Thanks, Johnny boy. And yes, I will be on Jets Worldwide tonight. Me and Jim the Manchild Lurch will be making our Jets Worldwide appearance later this evening to talk about origin stories, boy green nicknames, and all kinds of other fun gizmos and gadgets. So that should be a fun time. Again, Jets Worldwide, all one word. Make sure you guys show your support. Again, I will be popping up. Here's the link. I'll be popping up on this show later this evening, 7:30 tonight. With me and Jim Lurch talking Jets and all kinds of other things. So, guys, make sure you guys check that out. Back to the phone lines. A couple more callers, and then we will wrap up the show here. Up next, Carl is here on the show. Whoa, speaking of gun shows, good Lord have mercy. You have a permit for those, buddy?
Hey, I'm an old man. Leave me alone.
Carl, I'm running for the hills.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Hey, you notice the shirt I have on today?
Wait, let's get that. Quentin Copels, baby. Nice.
God, you have to remind us of that.
Yeah.
Community weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Let me get one thing off my chest first.
Sure.
No one's bringing up. We have got to have a 3rd round pick. That is an important pick, and we do not have one. And I think that what do we have? We have 2 number 2s, right?
Correct.
I think we could trade one of our number 2s, trade back, and get a number 3. Number 3 is an important pick for us because look, I think that you don't know when. We don't know when any of these quarterbacks when they're going to go. They might go early, they might go late. We just have no idea. So I think that third round pick is going to be really, really important. And we might have to take a guy like Allar or I haven't heard too much Nussbaum talk lately.
Yeah, right.
But
maybe a combine, right?
Right. So we might have to take a guy like that. Maybe we get him in the 4th round, 5th round. But I don't think we're going to take. I just can't see taking a quarterback at 2, and I don't think there's going to be. I don't think there's going to be a quarterback there at 16 that's worth that pick. I think we probably need a wide receiver there. But that third round pick, I mean, don't you agree that third round pick is going to be real important?
Yeah, and I think you could get it in a lot of different ways. Probably my preferred path, I suppose, is trading back from 44, although I guess you could move up from the 4th round, or you trade one of your players on the roster. Does Jamin Sherwood to the Titans interest them for a 3rd round pick or a pass rusher or something? Yeah, I think a 3rd round pick gives us a lot more optionality.
And regardless of how we get there, I think that's an important pick, because once we get past the 2nd round, we got a long way to go for another pick. Mm-hmm. And there's going to be a lot of role players in that area that we could use, and I think we're going to miss out. That's all.
Well, if you trade back in the 2nd round, how far?
Yeah.
Back, and I'm asking this rhetorically. How far back do you have to go? Because you could literally go as far back as 20 picks, and that's a lot of choices to go back to.
Yeah. I haven't really thought about how far back I'd go with the 2nd round, but
what matters? You agree? Yeah.
Oh yeah, it does matter, of course. Getting somebody in the middle of the 2nd round or the end of the 2nd round, it's a big deal. But the point is, we do have 2 second rounders. So I think that makes us a little more flexible.
We could do this. We could trade 44 to a team for their 3rd rounder this year and get their 3rd rounder next year or something. Like, we can move around the board and kind of pick up some extra assets. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Muji's the guy that's going to make a deal to get us back into the 3rd round. Mm-hmm. I really do. I have a lot of faith in Muji. And I think we're going to be, and not only in free agency, but I think we're going to be surprised at the moves he makes in the draft. I think we're going to have a plethora of picks.
Nice.
With Muji running the draft. I really do.
What's up?
And anyway, just want to get back to the Quentin Copels. When I was living in North Carolina, and I had read in the newspaper that Quentin Copels was the Jets' 1st round pick, and he lived in a town called Kinston, which was it's only about 4 or 5 miles away from me. And he was having a community weekend where he had, football programs going on. He had barbecue. So I said, man, I have got to go. And where he grew up in Kinston was a very poor town. And so when I went to the barbecue, I went to the community weekend. I might have been the only white person there, number one. And I'm walking around and I'm like, oh my God, I kind of felt a little out of place. Had all my Jet gear on, and he had kids, practicing with other coaches and all kinds of stuff. So a woman comes up to me and she says, hey, you a fan of Quentin Copels? And I said, well, I'm a big Jet fan. I said, I came here to meet him. And she goes, oh, come on, I'm his sister. So I went and met him. And we took some real nice pictures.
Mm-hmm. Which one is you?
I'm the big guy with the hat on.
Oh yeah, I could see that. That makes more sense. Oh, that's so cool.
Anyway, so I went back for 3 years while he was on the Jets. He had one every year, and I became pretty friendly with him. I mean, we used to even text each other and stuff like that, even when he was in training camp.
That's awesome.
And I felt like this guy was going to be something. And, maybe I just got personally involved with him and, knowing just knowing the man. And then something started happening. The first year he was, sign a football, walk around with me, talk and this and that, introduce me to people. The second year, he comes pulling up in an Escalade.
Ooh.
And all these guys come out of the Escalade. He had his posse with him. And I went to talk to him, and I had something else for him to sign. And somebody said to me, well, he's not signing anything right now. He's not allowed to sign anything. I said, are you kidding me? So I saw his sister again, and I actually met his mom.
Oh, cool.
And his mom said, are you kidding me? And she brought me over, and I talked to him again, and he signed some stuff for me, and we had a conversation. And by the third year, you could see he was getting more into that, hey, I'm an NFL player, and, I'm driving around in a black Escalade. I got a posse.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed to be going to his head a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then when, every year that he played for the Jets, he wasn't actually terrible. He was a pass rusher that he was always like a hair away from getting that sack. He almost had his hand on the quarterback, but he never quite got there. Mm-hmm. And then after the third year, we figured, this is just not going to happen. And they got rid of him. And I don't know where he went after that. I think he went to Miami. I think he went to the Rams.
Yeah,
and then
I
his
have
career.
it here. Yeah, so he actually had some fun. Again, like maybe this isn't what you want from a guy, but like the sacks are there. The first 3 years, 5.5 sacks, 4.5 sacks, 6.5 sacks. Everyone considers him like this crazy bust. That's not bad production for a guy who got taken in the middle. Yeah.
Yeah, he was one of those guys that he might not have gotten 10 sacks, but he got a lot of pressure. And
crazy,
I couldn't.
His NFL career ended. So he was 25 when he played his last game. He was with the Jets in 2015 for a little bit. Then he was with the Miami, and then he was out of the league. He was 25 years old when his NFL career ended. That's crazy.
And my feeling about that was sometimes, no matter how much talent you have, if your heart's not in it, it's just not going to work. And I kind of think that's what happened to him. I think that his heart wasn't in it after his, third year. And I was a little disappointed because I'm like, oh man, I got this friend of mine now. He's on the Jets. He was a first round pick. Man. We talk, and I go to his community weekends. I met his mom. I knew his sister, and it was really, really nice. And then I was just so disappointed when the Jets cut him. And then, like you said, when he was out of the league, it was like, man, I just didn't know any other reason to think of is that his heart wasn't in it.
Yeah, that's
But I do have a football.
Yeah.
I do have a football. His mom signed the football for me.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, her name was Gail, and I said, yeah, that's pretty cool. She signed. When I asked her to sign it, she said, why do you want me to sign your football? I said, I don't know. I'll be the only one that has one,
That's true.
And I have his signed football.
Oh, awesome.
But this football here, I was so pissed off. I played with this football.
Oh,
I actually use this. I actually use this to throw around with the, when some kids come over or whatever,
Wow, what a guy.
So, yeah. Anyway, that was just one of the little stories I had. But
I love it. Keep those stories coming, Carl. Those are awesome.
Yeah, I will. And you guys have a good weekend. Thanks a lot.
There he is, Carl, joining us on the show. Again, love these stories. I love memorabilia stories. I am lucky enough to have a lot of really cool Jets memorabilia in my house. And if anyone ever sees it, I'm like, let me tell you a story. Come over by the campfire.
I had a handful of the kids, the brethren of Jets players who had passed away, who were on the Super Bowl team. And I had their sons sign my book and whatever. And they looked at me, why do you want me to sign the book? I said, because your dad was a big player on that team.
Yeah. What I am curious, though, I should have asked him. Nate Jet says Quentin Copel's mom's signature is wild. I wonder if she left her number for Carl. Maybe he was trying to make a play. Respect, right? Was that her signature?
He
a phone number with a heart?
He needs to show her his guns now.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Ba-boom! I'm sure that would work. So shout out there. He could have been Quentin Copel's dad. Who knows what could have been possible. All right, let's get one more phone call in here before we finish off the program. Again, 400 people in the room. Appreciate it. 2.5 hours of content, baby. Again, like the video. That is the free way to contribute here to the show. Would appreciate it. Get this Jet show in front of other Jet fans out there in the universe. And again, we are growing closer and closer to 8,400 subscribers. So keep hitting that subscribe button, folks, if you're not subscribed already. Here he is. Let's go to him. This guy is a friggin' legend. He is a guy who, by the way, I want to throw it back up. DNY for Life gifted a membership earlier in the show, man. You know him, Bob. He's one of your favorites, and I know you guys have such a passionate and strong relationship with one another. So, with further ado, let's bring him in here, Devin.
Oh, Devin, I need a pick me up this morning. Give it to me.
Got you, Bob. Hey, shout out to Carl, man. Shout out to Jets Worldwide, wide. Hey, Bob, man. In all seriousness, I was thinking about you when I heard you talking about your fear of falling. One of the things that a lot of people don't really realize, and especially as they get older, one of the signs that you're more likely to fall is that when you have difficulty like picking yourself up out of a chair, like something that's not a recliner or something like that, but like just a regular chair, having difficulty with that's one of the signs.
I'm familiar with that, and I won't go into the reason why, but it depends on how soft the cushion is that I've been sitting on.
So I would say this, and a big shout out to Carl, because I'm really proud of him for. He still hits the gym and stuff like that. And I would encourage you to start looking at do some research on that for yourself, Bob, like resistance training. In all seriousness, it's not about getting jacked. It's about increasing your ability to sustain longevity and health. That's one of my big things.
Can I be blunt with you and
absolutely
blunt? Okay.
Why that happens with me?
All right.
In the words of my wife, you have a bony rear end.
Wow.
I
hopefully she appreciates that.
I lost 30 pounds last year.
Oh, congratulations!
Oh, wow.
And part of what I lost was in my rear end, and so for instance, when I sit in an airplane for a long time, which I have to do, once every couple of years or so, I take a pillow with me and I sit on the pillow because the seat is so hard that it's actually painful for me to sit there. And I've been to PT to deal with falling and to deal with those sort of things. And part of what I learned, it's so obvious, is that at my age, even though I might try to quickly pivot in a direction as I did when I was younger, I've got to be more careful and do it much more tentatively, so I don't lose my balance. Because I tend to, when I'm pivoting to my left, if I do it too quickly, I'll lose my balance. And usually it's not terrible, but it's again, as I said earlier, it's always a fear that if you fall down, that you might really hurt something.
Yeah,
I get that. That's why I say the resistance training, it will really help you. It'll help you put some of that junk back in your trunk too. You know what I mean?
Well, shout out to Mr. Lederer. Wink. There you go.
Yeah, Bob, it's really pivotal. A lot of people don't think about these things, and I've done a lot of research on looking into that stuff as we are aging, as I'm getting older as well, and just really wanting to age in a way that I can be there for my daughter as she. I knew he was going to ask me that question. This is what I would say. I'm grown ass man old, just the same as you.
Yeah, there you go. That's
what I'm saying? It don't matter, Bob. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. We all need to be doing this. Like, longevity is something that we all need to be thinking about and putting in the forefront of our mind. Our food in this country is trash. I'm gonna leave it at that.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. It is all this. ultra processed stuff. You know, it is because, you know, the evidence is all there about all these diseases and everything that people are being subjected to.
Yeah. It was funny because I just saw a story like yesterday, actually, that was talking about food in the military and having all of these pesticides and all of these other things that you would think that you get higher quality of food in the military, and it's not there. And it's like it kind of made me, it infuriated me. But
people in prisons and how badly their nutrition is from the stuff they're being fed.
Yeah. So I'll leave that to say I'll go to my Jets points now.
Yeah.
So I respectfully agree with both of you gentlemen in a couple of ways. If I own the Jets,
wait, you just cut off there. You said you respectfully, and then it sounded like a Charlie Brown parent. I don't know how that magically cut off there, but go ahead.
Respectfully, I agree with both of you as it relates to the ownership of the Jets. I would interfere. My 2 cents would be said. However, I would not make it be a forceful point to say this is let me express myself, and then allow them to rebut and say, well, whether they would agree or not agree with that, right? And I would take that into consideration. But I would want my voice to be heard if I own a team. Like, of course, that's a lot of money. That's a huge investment. So I would definitely want that to be said. Along those lines, Bob, what do you think of our current constituted coaching staff?
I think the jury is out, but it looks like it's a heck of a lot better than what we had last year. You know, as I always say, I'm not from Missouri, but show me anyway.
I hear you, and I hear you say that as well. I would say this though, you know, listening to, what's his name, Jim Kelly, and I listened to that interview that you guys were just talking about, and Doug Peterson, and Doug Peterson held Aaron Glenn in high regard. You know, I think Frank Wright holds Aaron Glenn. Of course he does, or else he wouldn't have came to the staff, right? So I think that's one of the things like I think about. Like, I know people give AG a lot of slack, and rightfully so because of his record, especially you out there, Mr. Fastest Food Review, and Mr. Asman. You know, so I get that, and I respect everyone's opinion. You know what I mean? And their right to believe what they believe. But I also believe that we're going to see something different this year. If I'm wrong, I would admit I'm wrong. I was wrong on Justin Fields. I was hopeful. Bob, you were right on Justin Fields.
You were what about Justin Fields? What?
I was partially incorrect, just a little bit.
Sounds about right.
But you know what? It's okay though, because I'm gonna still root for us to be.
Hey, it's doing well. It's sports. It's life. You know, it's not the end of. It didn't really matter in the end if you were right or wrong. It's just it's your fandom. It's your enthusiasm. It's what you believe in, and that's great.
And I want my daughter to see a good product on the field, man. You know what I mean? Like, we've been going to the games a couple of years now. She just started 2 years ago going to games, and she loves going to the games. She loves the tailgate experience. But I want her to have a good product on the field. You know what I mean? So that's really important to me. So it's not like I'm okay with losing. Definitely not. But with the same token, I want to give us time. You know what I mean? I think the fact that, like, I do think the fact that it's a happy coincidence, because if Woody did interfere and say, hey, we can't, AG, you're going to run the defense, I'm kind of happy with that, to be honest with you. And because I feel like AG is a really good defensive-minded head coach, and I think he's going to do well with the defense. And I think that's going to help us to win more games. And also, I'm going to trust Frank Wright, because Frank Wright, I'm going to throw him the alley-oop and say, hey, which one of these quarterbacks do you want to take a chance on, you know, in the second, third round, wherever he thinks is most appropriate.
But just like I believe Dunbar is going to help him decide which defensive lineman they go for.
Absolutely. See, and that's where I think that we're going to have these improvements. Also, I really like Drew Aller. I've been saying that since end of the season. I've been saying that. You know, I really like the kid. I think the fact that I guess, you know, if he came out last year, he would have been top 5 pick. Inarguably. Like, they were saying he was probably the best quarterback coming out the draft last year, right? And so he went back to school. Lesson to Mr. Moore. Hey, it don't always work the way you think it's going to work. So, but I think with the right coaching, Frank Wright, we could take Drew Aller, sit him on the sideline, and teach him how to become a really good quarterback, and at a minimum, be a good backup quarterback that maybe could still transition into a starter, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things I'm hopeful for. So I don't want somebody that can't listen. Joe Tippmann is what, 6'8"? How the hell is little Mighty Mouse gonna see over the line? Coming from Carolina, we got some big guys back there, man. Yeah, he's going to have all the time in the world, but one of his biggest issues has been he hasn't been able to see the middle of the field because his offensive linemen are too big. It's not his fault.
And that's why he sprints to the right or the left before he throws the ball
all the time, which doesn't give the protection, which doesn't maximize the protection that he would be able to have. So I want my quarterback to be at a minimum 6'3". Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and that's something that I think we needed. But I'm going to trust Frank Wright on that because I think he's going to have heavy influence in that situation. I think Darren Muji also has a good eye for that as well. I think Darren Muji, didn't he play quarterback or something like that in college or something like that?
He did. San Diego State. Yep.
Right. So I think he's going to have an eye for that, and I think there's some options out there but we just got to sit whoever it is, whoever we get needs to sit. So we definitely need to have. I would like a quality, veteran. I'm okay with Derek Carr because he's not going to cost us anything to give up a draft pick or anything like that. And I think, but one of the things I'm Larry. I hear your hesitancy, Bob. I hear the hesitancy.
Warning, danger.
But one of the things I will say though, we have a coach who had him in with the Raiders, and he had his best year with that coach as well. So some hope there, But I definitely feel like I want to see that. I want to see that veteran that can but I need somebody also that's not going to be selfish. That can be
exactly.
That's going to be able to teach the young guy.
You need somebody, and I don't want to stretch this too far because we're up against the clock, really.
Right.
But you don't want somebody who's going to be, a problem, not only in the locker room but on the field. Aaron Rodgers, when he came, was a leader, and everybody saluted and said, "Hey, I'm on the team. Just tell us what you want us to do, Aaron." Derek Carr is, from everything I've heard, he's not that kind of guy. So I don't know.
Right. I don't know who's going to be, but I'm going to trust Frank Wright on that, and I think he's going to do well with that.
Right. That's what you hired him for. So yeah.
Yeah, but I appreciate it. I appreciate my Fridays being able to hop on here and listen to you guys. Always BG as always, man. You my dude. You made a lot of the points that I was listening, and I agree with a lot of them. You know what I mean? I think we share a similar mindset with a lot of different things.
Hey, I'm waiting for your book review,
bro. I got it. Time. Keep on ticking.
TBD.
Keep on ticking. But I'm gonna get there. I promise. I'm gonna get there. If I have to get hit up a chapter a day or something like that, I'm gonna get.
Have a great weekend.
There you go.
You too.
You're the best.
Right.
There he is. DNY for life. I'll tell you this. I was going to say this, but Dan Hollis said it best in the comment section. Boy Green having this quote at some point. Bob's bony ass was not on my bingo card. I'm going to be honest, it wasn't. So thank you, Devin, for bringing that to the show. To be honest, if you would have told me, hey, Boy Green, we're going to be talking about some Daniel Jeremiah stuff on the show, I'm like, okay. And then we're going to wrap up succinctly with Bob's bony ass. Okay. Sounds.
You see, every week you learn a little bit more about me.
That's a little more than I wanted to know, Bob, but I'm glad we're getting closer and closer to each other.
But I didn't say I said rear end.
That's very on brand.
I'm very clean. I don't like to curse.
Which hey, we got some angry Bob or passionate Bob earlier on the show today, which I love, which is great. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us. Just under 3 hours of content here on the program. Thank you to the 400 that are with us. If you enjoyed today's show and you want to pay it forward, the easiest way to do that is by liking the video and also hitting subscribe. Both of those things are free to do. Support the show. Bob joins us every single Friday here. We've got plenty of fun Fridays that'll be coming up throughout this very eventful offseason. So, folks, thank you so much. And, Bob, thank you.
Hey, great weekend, everybody.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We will see you tomorrow morning for another episode of Boy Green Daily. Take care.